one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and a happy Friday, everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Nick DiNucci filling in today for Frank Marchese. Really appreciate him. Frank has a fun little afternoon planned and this weekend planned with a buddy that's coming into town to visit, who ends up being a big Red Sox fan and everything like that, too. So he'll have a fun weekend. We'll see Frank again on Monday. You got the music there, Nick? There you go. Padres baseball, obviously, is what we're going to dive into. Frank's got the day off today before people start freaking out. Frank's got the day off today. Scheduled day off. Scheduled day off for Frank, just like Fernando the other day. Got to get a little R&R. He's got a buddy in town this weekend. They're going to the game tonight. So if you see big Frank Marchese at the game, you better go say hi to Frank at the Padres game tonight. I was going to try to go to the Padre game tonight, but it's very difficult to get tickets to tonight's game. Very difficult. It's going to be difficult to get tickets all weekend because of the Padres and the Red Sox. We'll have a full breakdown of that series coming up in just a little bit, obviously. We're going to take it through the day. We do have a couple of guests today, too. Chris Murphy, who is from Southern California. He's a Boston Red Sox pitcher. He is a USD Torero. It's excited to be back in America's finest city to obviously play. And we're going to have him on the air coming up at the 1 o'clock spot. Also in the 1 o'clock hour, Drake Hills, who usually comes on to do his Soccer 101. Talk a little Padres baseball with him for a segment, and then talk a little bit more about San Diego FC to end the show. He'll be joining us in studio today, which will be pretty fun. Again, the new guy's name is Nick DiNucci. Nick, just real quick, let's do it now. Baltimore guy out here in San Diego, used to run Padre games. I think you still do run a little Padre games. I know you do stuff at USD. Just introduce yourself to the audience that doesn't know who you are, just in case when we get to the sports thread and other things you have to be a part of, people don't go, Frank's voice totally changed. What do we got, Nick?
Hello, all. Yeah, my name's Nick from Baltimore originally. Started over there at 1057 The Fan, doing some games for the Orioles and such. But yeah, I've been out here for just over 3 years now, surprisingly enough. So yeah, happy to be here, for sure.
We got Baltimore Nick in the house today. Thank you for Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn, Nick, according to the chat, because that was you on that deal. All right, let's talk Padres baseball, okay? Padres are in a really good spot as of right now. We talked about it before with the standings from yesterday. Again, it's so hard when you don't have a Padres game the night before. But this is probably one of the, and we talked about the deadline a little bit yesterday. We'll talk more about it again today. And you look at where the Padres are currently at in the standings and where everything is playing out for them. Again, an update on the magic number. Reds lost yesterday. Not only did they lose, they got their ass kicked by the Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Drops the magic number down to 40 for the San Diego Padres to make the playoffs. I'm not really looking at magic numbers too much, but don't mind informing you guys on that. With the Reds' loss yesterday, the Padres now have a 90% chance of making the postseason. With the Reds losing yesterday to the Pirates, the Padres now have a 90% chance of making the postseason. They have now increased a lot of their odds throughout the different seedings. A 30% chance for the 5 seed, 14% chance for the 4 or the 6, an 11% chance in control of their own destiny for the 3rd seed. They now have a 17% chance of potentially getting the number 2 seed in the National League, which I find very interesting. Again, all because the Reds lost last night. The Padres didn't even do anything. The Reds lost, and the Padres just boosted their numbers a lot. Only 2 games back of the Dodgers in the division, and out of all the teams in the National League, they have the 3rd best percentage chance of getting the number 2 seed in the National League postseason. Which is interesting because they do have the tiebreaker technically on the Milwaukee Brewers as of right now. But anyway, that's where everything stands in terms of the percentage chance of making the playoffs. We talk a little bit about Padres' first-round playoff matchup probabilities. We've been giving you this update in the morning every single day. Padres have a 22% chance of getting a bye now. Very impressive. They only have a 10% chance of getting eliminated, which gives them a 90% chance of making the postseason. And their most likely opponent, as of right now, are the Chicago Cubs. They have a 28% chance playing the Cubs in the first round, an 11% chance playing the Brewers, and a 9% chance of playing the Dodgers, with a 24% chance of being home and a 44% chance of being away in their first round matchup. Last bit of numbers I will bore you with today to get you into where the Padres currently sit standings-wise. I like going to, and it's again, playoffstatus.com, but you go to the Padres what if column, it will tell you exactly what the Padres would like, what the percentage chance of them making the playoffs if they win X amount of games. They have 47 games left. If the Padres win 24 of their next 47 games, so they win 51% of their games, at 88 wins, they now have a 96% chance of making the postseason. If they win 23 of their next 47 games, which gets them 87 wins, that gives them an 86% chance of making the postseason. So as long as the Padres tread water the rest of the season, they will most likely be in the postseason. And again, a lot of that is because of where the competition is right now in the National League standings. I mean, look at the standings in Major League Baseball right now. Most of the fighting is in the American League. And most of the fighting in the National League is going to be for seeding, not necessarily who's in the playoffs. Another bad blow to the Reds last night after they lose to the Pirates. But if you look at the overall standings in the wild card, the San Diego Padres currently sit as the number 5 seed in the National League. Cubs have the top wild card spot, and they lead the Padres by 2.5 games. Padres lead the Mets by a game, and the Mets now lead the Reds by 3.5 games. Padres have a 4.5 game lead on the Mets, a 6 game lead on the Giants, and a 6.5 game lead on the Cardinals, who are playing around 500 ball. It's a good spot to be in if you're the San Diego Padres. And the reason why it's a good spot to be in, because, and this is why it was different than last year. Last year, the Padres were still fighting for a wild card spot. And they came close with the division of the Dodgers, but they didn't want to, and nobody really wanted to see them burn out trying to track down the LA Dodgers and then all of a sudden get screwed over and now you're outside of the playoffs. This year, they're pretty much in the postseason. Again, I went through the numbers. If they play 500 ball or slightly less than 500 ball, they still have an 86% chance of making the postseason just by playing like 500. So with that knowledge and only being 2 games out of the division, you could go after it. You could go after the division. And I like where this team is from a roster standpoint. I like where this team is, in terms of lineup, bullpen, starting rotation. If I had to pick an area of concern, I think it would be the starting rotation, but I don't think it's for the playoffs. I think it's for finishing the regular season out. And we've talked about this multiple times. The postseason starting rotation is drastically different than what it would be in the end of the regular season. You only need 3 to 4 starters in the postseason. With the amount of days off they have, with the way the series move, you really only need 3 to 4 starting pitchers in a series. Only about 3 to 4. And if you look at the Padres starting rotation right now, and we're going to look at Yu Darvish in a second. Tom Krasovic had an article on Yu Darvish earlier in the week that was really good and how he has reinvented himself. But you have Nick Pivetta. Michael King is starting tomorrow. You have Michael King coming back. We'll talk more about Michael King later on in the show, what to expect out of Michael King pitching against the Boston Red Sox. I mean, guys, this is a huge series this weekend. Not only for the Padres trying to track down the Dodgers, but the Red Sox trying to track down the Blue Jays. Go back to the standings for all of you that pulled their phone out to look at the standings as I was talking about it, you have right now this weekend, it's a great weekend of baseball. You have the top team in the American League East taking on the top team in the National League West as they both try to fend off the number 2 team in the AL East, the Boston Red Sox, who is playing the number 2 team in the National League West in the San Diego Padres. 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2. You're getting some pretty good playoff level baseball this weekend at Petco Park. And the Dodgers are dealing with the Blue Jays, who are trying to fend off the Red Sox. So this is going to be a fun scoreboard watching series, not only for Padres fans, but for Dodger fans. And not only for Red Sox fans, but for Blue Jays fans. I mean, you got great games this weekend. You still want to keep an eye on Cincinnati. The more they lose, the easier it becomes to focus on winning the division if you're the San Diego Padres. That's a big series. In the American League, if you just love baseball, the Astros are playing the Yankees this weekend. Yankees hanging on for dear life. Other series that are important, Phillies and Rangers. Phillies trying to hold off the Mets. Rangers trying to get back into the race and chase down the Yankees, who salvaged the series against Texas a couple of days ago. That's another big series this weekend, Philadelphia and Texas. The New York Mets are playing the Milwaukee Brewers. A series that matters to the Padres. They're trying to make a cushion now above the Mets while also track down the Brewers potentially for a number 1 seed. These are all the things that are involved right now with Major League Baseball. But Mets and Brewers, that's a huge series in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is one of the best teams in baseball right now. In fact, record-wise, they are the best team in baseball. The New York Mets just got swept by the Guardians, who now all of a sudden have a new lease on life and are within striking distance of the Detroit Tigers and are right there in the American League wildcard conversation. That's another big series, potentially. Cleveland this weekend, but they get to play the White Sox. So take that for what it's worth. Tampa and Seattle, both battling for wildcard spots, are playing each other this weekend. I mentioned Red Sox, Padres, Blue Jays, Dodgers. It's a fun weekend of baseball. You got the NFL starting up with preseason football. That's, it's boring. Okay, even for me as a football coach that just wants to see football back on television, I'm not getting locked into football games. I mean, this is a big weekend for Major League Baseball, and even more so centered on what's going on in Los Angeles between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and what's going on in San Diego between the Red Sox and the Padres. Pretty fun weekend of baseball this weekend for MLB. But again, as I mentioned before, Padres are in a great spot. Team's playing really well. They've won 8 out of the last 10. They're 8-2 in their last 10, but they're also 9-2 in their last 11. They've won 9 out of the last 11 games. Starting rotations look good. And tonight's matchup, are you kidding me? Nick Pivetta, former Red Sox, sitting at 11-3 with a 2.73 ERA, going against his former team that has Walker Buehler, the former Dodger, pitching for Boston tonight, 6-6 with a 5.74 ERA. It's going to be a must be at Petco Park tonight, and it's going to be a must-watch series between the Red Sox and the Padres. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We kind of took a little bit of look at the scoreboard watching. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And a little bit later, we will hear what Mike Schilt said on the manager's report today with Ben and Woods, which is refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. We'll talk about that at the 10:30 spot as well. He's Nick DiNucci. I'm Braden Surprenant. Frank's got the day off today. We are taking it to 2 o'clock, just getting started on a Friday. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 10:20 on a Friday. Our guy Nick DiNucci's already gotten a nickname. Gucci DiNucci is what one of my friends has already labeled Nick DiNucci. Yeah, I love it. I love it, dude. Appreciate you helping out today. Frank's got the day off. I've seen him in the chat. He's been popping up in the chat, making sure everything is run smoothly. Everybody's like, God forbid he takes a day off, man. I went to Italy for 2 weeks. Frank's out here, whatever. And as on cue, Nick, you got to answer this guy's question. Any relation to Ben DiNucci, former Cowboys quarterback?
It is a good question. I cannot deny nor confirm this question because I honestly don't know. I might share a very, very distant sort of second cousin removed type of situation. I need to do the research, to be honest.
All right. I am distantly related to the Manning family, Peyton Manning and Eli and those guys. Fun fact of the day. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Nick, I'm going to take these calls here. Just get ready to go. And we're going to start with Vince in Chula Vista. Vince, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Happy Friday to you. And I don't think I'm related to anybody famous. At least I don't know about it yet. So with the Padres, though, I mentioned earlier in a call earlier in the week about the expectation of winning that this club now has. This club is built for this. This club is built for this series with the Red Sox, what will be upcoming with the Dodgers and the Giants. Man, they're built for this time of year. And how cool is it sitting back as a Padre fan, and I'll be at the game tonight with my family as well. How cool is it to have postseason vibes in the middle of August? I mean, this is it. You know, we starting out the year, coming out of spring training, a lot of holes to fill, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was getting ramped up about the doesn't mean anything schedule or win-loss that they had during spring training. And here we are with coming through a trade deadline where there were a lot of questions about that. Did we give up too much? Blah, blah, blah. The answer to that is no, because we are now, this organization is positioned for this, to make this kind of run. And I love the way you prefaced it with the other schedules that are happening this weekend across Major League Baseball and the big picture view of getting a cushion against the Mets, going up against Milwaukee for the number one seed, going against the Dodgers, only two games behind. Man, I don't think, for me anyway, it hasn't been a better time to be a Friar faithful than it is right now. And I got to tell you, man, if I'm not hoarse by the end of the game tonight, something went really, really wrong. I can't wait to get to Petco, the best place to watch a ball game on the planet. I can't wait to get there tonight. I think you'll be there tonight too. So have a great time, my friend. Thank you for the minutes you offer me when I dial in. Always appreciate you, and go Padres tonight and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Vince. Appreciate the phone call. It's a great time to be a Padres fan. All of these, like, I went through all of those seeds because, again, eyes up, keep climbing up the leaderboard. Eyes up, keep climbing. And you look at the leaderboard and you look at the standings, the Padres are in striking distance of all of the things that has been laid out. I mean, the Milwaukee Brewers have won 6 games in a row. They've won 9 out of the last 10, and the Padres are still within relatively striking distance of potentially catching them for the number one seed. There should be no playing it safe. And the fact that the Padres have now distanced themselves at least by a couple of teams from being out of the playoffs with a game lead on the New York Mets, with a 4.5 game lead on the Cincinnati Reds, it gives you an opportunity to try to track down the teams in front of you. And this is why it was so important, to try to split series or win series against other teams. Look at the teams in front of them. Philadelphia split the series, so don't have to worry about like the tie. And there's going to be other tiebreakers that are built in. We'll get to that if that becomes apparent. But the Padres are a game and a half behind Philadelphia. Game and a half behind Philadelphia. If in case, some of the other teams potentially pass, but you're thinking about winning the division, you got to pass Philly. Because being the number 3 seed is drastically different than being the number 2 seed in the National League playoffs. 3 seed's got to play the first weekend. 2 seed doesn't. Got to pass Philly. Game and a half back. They're 2 games back behind LA. That's very important, obviously, looking at trying to win the division. They are 2.5 games back from the Chicago Cubs. Trying to track down the Cubs to get the number 4 seed in the postseason. So if you are a wild card, you get to host the first weekend of the postseason. I mean, all of these spots have an advantage for the team that earns said spot. And then, of course, you look at the overall standings in the National League, you're 6.5 back in the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, if you are trying to track down the division, which I think everybody is in agreement, that needs to be the goal of the San Diego Padres. You know it is in the clubhouse. You know it is in the front office. AJ Preller made the moves that he made to try to track down and win the division, to try to make a push in the postseason. So if your goal is to win the division, why win the division and just get the 3 seed? Why not try to get the 1? You still get to play Milwaukee 3 times here in San Diego. You took 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. You do the same thing here in San Diego, and all of a sudden you got a tiebreaker on the Brewers after picking up some games. So this is why this is important. This is why all these games that we listed out are important. Here's your scoreboard watching for this weekend starting tonight. If you missed it last night, there was only 4 games yesterday. One of them was important to the Padres. It was the Pirates knocking off Cincinnati 7-0. Tonight, here are the games that matter. Now, some of these are win-win for the San Diego Padres, like the New York Mets taking on the Brewers. Padres could distance themselves a little bit more from the Mets, but at the same time, it'd be nice to try to track down Milwaukee. Kodai Senga going for the Mets, Brandon Woodruff going for the Brewers. That's going to be a great game. Senga's 7-3 with a 2.31 ERA. Brandon Woodruff's 3-0 with a 2.22 ERA. Game starts at 5:10 p.m. Pacific time out here on the West Coast. Mets, Brewers. That's a huge series that impacts the San Diego Padres. Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. That will be the first game of the weekend scoreboard watching to pay attention to. Chase Burns, the high draft pick out of the University of Tennessee, starting for Cincinnati's 0-3 with a 6.04 ERA. Rookie for the Reds, veteran for the Pirates. Mitch Keller, 5-10 with a 3.89. That game will be at 3:40 p.m. Pacific time. Obviously rooting for the Buccos in that one. Cubs and Cardinals. Looking at the Cardinals. Michael McGreevy, the son of a San Diegan being from San Clemente. Yeah, his dad went to uni. Little local tie there. He's starting for the Cards against Matthew Boyd of the Cubs. You could really use a Cardinals win. Cardinals have helped out the Padres the last couple of days. Taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. Be nice to see him beat up on the Cubs a little bit. That game will start at 5:15. Michael McGreevy, 3-2 with a 5.08 ERA for the Cardinals. Matthew Boyd is 11-4 with a 2.34 ERA. Blue Jays and Dodgers in Los Angeles. Obviously, another important game for the Padres. Clayton Kershaw for the Dodgers against Max Scherzer for the Blue Jays. Wasn't that the infamous game where they had 2 scratches between Arizona and Los Angeles of 2 veteran pitchers that everybody wanted to see? And you got to see the debut of Clayton Kershaw. And you got to see Max Scherzer before they became dudes. Max Scherzer, I mean, they're both up there in years. But Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer tonight in Los Angeles at 7:10. And then the other one for you, I don't think it's as important, but the Giants are still hanging around and sitting at 5 games out of a wild card spot. And you got the Giants coming up after the series against the Red Sox. They will host the Washington Nationals tonight at 7:15. Giants did not announce a starter as of last night. But that's the scoreboard watching you're looking for. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kevin in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kevin?
Braden, we have probably the most epic 2 weeks of baseball that we have seen here in at least recent memory. Going back, I can't even remember back in the olden days if we ever had anything like this. So it's just something to savor, and it's going to be every pitch means something time. And I just am thrilled, and I think everybody else is thrilled to be in this position. The only concern I have at this point, and I don't know if this was brought up on the roundtable yesterday, but I am a bit concerned about starting pitching, because once you get past Nick Pivetta, then you come into question marks with the rest of them. And we don't know how these three important pieces, which would be Dylan Cease and Yu Darvish and Michael King, how this will roll out for them over the next coming very important weeks. I wish this were spring training time, because it would give, I think, more opportunity to not have so much pressure on this. But I am very concerned about the health and longevity and also effectiveness, because these guys have been on the bench for so long, healing up, except for Cease, obviously. But this thing boils down to, I think, those three starting pitchers. What do you think?
I think so too, Kevin. I appreciate the phone call. I brought this up a little bit on the roundtable. They asked the question, Ben asked the question, what's the one thing that is a slight concern for you? And to me, it is starting pitching. But I think it's more starting pitching for the end, like finishing the season, than it is for the postseason. I think the starting pitching is more of a concern to finish the regular season than it is for the postseason. Because in the postseason, you don't need as many starters. And in the postseason, you're only going through the lineup maybe twice. I mean, Nick Pivetta will go through the lineup probably twice. Michael King will go through the lineup probably twice. Maybe even three times if they're really feeling good. But Pivetta, King, and Darvish, you know what? They don't need to go through the lineup multiple times. Not with the bullpen that you built, especially in the postseason. Look at the last handful of winners of the World Series. This is a new day and age of Major League Baseball. It's no longer about the starters in the postseason. Starters are about the regular season. It's about the bullpen, and the Padres arguably have the best one in Major League Baseball. And the other thing, too, is that you can piggyback some of these guys. We talked about it, and I think J.P. Sears is going to get another chance. I think J.P. Sears can bounce back from what he did in Arizona. I think J.P. Sears, being a fly ball pitcher, obviously not great for Oaklamento, also not great for pitching at Chase Field out in Arizona. I'd like to see him pitch at Petco Park. Letters that AJ laid out that Dylan Cease, and you can go look at his metrics, great first time through the order, not as good the second time, not very good the third time through the order. J.P. Sears has been the exact same way. You stack them both, you go one time through the order each, that gets you to about the sixth inning, assuming there's not too much damage thrown in there, and then all of a sudden you got 7, 8, 9 for your bullpen, and you got 5 arms to choose from, and you don't have to use Wandy Peralta, and you don't have to use Yuki Matsui. So yes, the starting pitching is slightly a concern, but I'm not concerned about that in the playoffs, because you're not asking these guys to go through a lineup more than a max of 2 times. If Nick Pivetta and Michael King are cruising in a postseason game, you can let them go through a lineup 3 times. But look at the actions. We are an actions over word show. Mike Schilt continues to say we can't survive doing this all the time, yet he continues to go to the bullpen at any point of disaster or any point of potential adversity for a starting pitcher, and the bullpen has shut it down. I mean, if you do that in the regular season, what's he going to do in the postseason when he's got all these arms available? You don't need the starting pitching in the playoffs as much. That's more of a finish the regular season. But if you had to pick a concern, that would be my concern too. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We are going to get back to your phone calls, but first, When we come back, Mike Schilt, manager of the San Diego Padres, joined Ben and Woods earlier today on the manager's report, refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. We're going to hear what he said and break some of that down to finish up the first hour of the show. Nick DiNucci, I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:41 on a Friday, little Treaty Oak revival on a Friday. Everybody listening on the radio, can't play it over the YouTube. Treaty Oak Revival Fishnets, pretty good song. Anyway, he's Nick DiNucci. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Nick is filling in for Frank today. Frank has a scheduled day off, enjoying his time on the town today. He's going to be at the ball game tonight, so be sure if you see Frank to say hi. He'll be walking around. Now, the thing with Frank tonight at the game, one of his buddy that's coming into town that he's hanging out with, he is a big Xander Bogaerts fan. He's a Red Sox guy. Wants to see Xander Bogaerts play tonight. And Frank has been just sitting there going like, this is the only game we can go to, like in terms of we have time. I would not. He's calling for a scheduled day off for Xander Bogaerts. Like, he's like, knowing my luck, that's what it's going to be. We'll see what happens. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show today. Mike Schill, as he does each and every other Friday, joined Ben and Woods earlier this morning. Here's what happened earlier today on the Manager's Report with Mike Schill, refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. Let's get to some of the things that he said. There was a lot of interesting questions that were asked of Mike Schill. One of them, obviously, they talked about the value of Martin Maldonado for a long time. Mike Schill continued to say in the media, and he never says anything bad about his players in the media, but there was a value of having Martin Maldonado on the team to the team. And so obviously when the Padres put together a trade package for Freddie Fermin to get a catcher in here, it was going to be a decision of either getting rid of Elias Diaz or Martin Maldonado. Martin Maldonado doesn't cost as much, seemed to be the decision, but it was going to be a difficult conversation. Here's what Mike Schill had to say about having difficult conversations like with Martin Maldonado.
It's really extremely hard. It's clearly it's harder on the player receiving it. Yeah, Maldy's case. I mean, that was the Padres aren't where we were at the time without Martin Maldonado. And people would say, well, he hit this, hit that, and he had some big hits. But, his presence and his ability to help navigate the staff and bring those guys along, help nurture, help make clear, help on board. Diaz was here at the end of last year, but, partner with him to take the staff with Ruben, myself, and everybody, including the position players, just to be that voice. I mean, there's just not many players with that kind of wisdom, that kind of experience, 2 world champions that can just walk in those doors and understand what it takes, to be at the highest level and do it in a way that's which is why at some point, if everyone wants to coach your man, and she'll really be good about it, because it just was at no point about him. He clearly wants to do and be successful, but he's got 14 years in the big leagues, and he's got his rings, and he just wants one more. Anyway, he was fantastic to work with, and still communicate with him, and just have a lot of respect for him. Of course, there's other guys that are on the club, Tyler Wade's another guy. He's back in the organization, thankfully, but clearly he's helped us a ton, and over the last year plus, and not an easy conversation for him, and complete pro, and grateful for him. And then the guys that are on the club, including rearranging some of the bullpen, and guys willing to post in different places, and Sheetsy being able to accept a little more diminished role at the for now, and do it with just complete grace and selflessness. Says a lot. We've asked some of the new guys to come in and think about some different roles, be used differently, and they've all been in agreement. But they don't have players that are currently doing it that have been here. Then it's not going to, that modeling won't create a good atmosphere. But everyone's on the same page. Everybody just wants to win, and it's really a special group.
It is a special group. What they've built there is way different than it was the last handful of years when they bring in new pieces. They've now established a leadership organization. They have like a leadership committee kind of deal. So like not one person has to be the leader. They've decided how they wanted to do things the right way, do things the Padres way. And when you get guys that come in, it's a lot easier for them to buy in because there's no sense of they don't really know what they're doing. Why don't we do some things that we did in our previous organization, like has been the case? And so now it's all of these players that have been acquired fit right into the mold. I think AJ Preller's done a good job of finding players not only very talented, but also guys that fit the mold of the team. And they all respect and understand that the Padres have made the postseason enough times. And again, if they make the postseason this year, it's 4 of the last 6 years where they know, okay, these guys know what they're doing. I want to win a World Series. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be a part of this organization, to be a part of potentially winning a World Series. I want to transition that into, and we're gonna go into the clip, Nick, on making those new players feel like part of the team, and that's very interesting too on how you manage that. This is where the managers really make their money, not the X's and O's, and handling bullpens. It's handling the personalities and get everybody to gel together. Here's what Mike Shildt had to say on making new players feel like part of the team.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. I mean, making sure that which they were and are, staff's buttoned up to. There's a lot of different tentacles to the staff and to the organization, and a lot of those, they touch the players and they touch the players' families, and we really do have a great staff and a well-run organization, and people are on point, and just helping make sure that the transition is as easy for the players and, again, their wives and families as possible, and they feel welcome. And the baseball is the baseball. Yeah, the part of that transition is the conversations of the signs and how we think and operate, and just our daily processes, and which you think are, and they're almost all of them are pretty close to what the league would be, but everybody's got their nuances of it, and having players get acclimated to that as soon as possible, so they can just go relax and go play the game and enjoy getting other teammates. So there's conversation, there's organization, there's an awareness to what they are and what they need, and I always feel like that the quicker we are able to do that for them, again, the better they're able to just go play the game and enjoy themselves.
Obviously, we talked about the catching situation, the difficult decisions, or should I say difficult conversations that needed to happen with Mike Shildt and a lot of the players. But the morning show asked Mike Shildt on the manager's report today, when did he start thinking about Freddie Fermin and being part of the organization?
Yeah, I can't really pinpoint it. You just, you play against guys and you see how they compete and how they play the game. And, always thought Freddie, and of course still do, and he's proven that. Just a good player, smart, tough, quick, can really throw, feel for the game, takes a really good at bat, uses the whole field, can do all different things, already got a couple bunt hits.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's just a good player, and like his attitude and the way he went about it, and he's got some respect throughout the league, rightfully. And I don't know what the price tag would be, but all I can do is give my evaluation, but yeah, I mean, all these guys have been great.
We got time for a couple of more clips here. One of them, obviously, that impacts, I think, what a lot of people that are Padres fans are worried about is obviously the starting rotation and Michael King. Mike Shildt on what to expect from Michael King tomorrow against the Boston Red Sox, his first start in a long time.
Well, we're all excited to have Michael back. Clearly a big part of our club, an anchor to that starting pitching, which is one of the big anchors to the team. What we expect out of Michael, I saw him in a simulated game. Ball was coming out, ball was moving like we know Michael's ball does. All the pitches were working, still in the process, as you would expect after that kind of layoff, to fine tune those pitches, but the shapes were good. Ball was coming out, recovering well. Michael's super excited. We're thrilled to have him back. And as far as the expectations go, we're going to run him out tomorrow, see what it looks like. But, we do have expectations for Michael that, he's going to go out and perform. He'll be on, a little bit of limitation just relative to the amount of downtime, and we have built him up to a point, but he didn't go through a extensively long rehab, so he'll do a little bit of that build up with us. But we're excited to have Michael back.
I think a lot of Padres fans are excited to have Michael King back. It's going to be good to see. I think it's going to really improve the rotation. I think it's going to obviously put the Padres in a lot better of a spot from a rotation standpoint. And as we said before, and you start looking at, postseason play, and we talked about the bullpen, right? We talked about you don't need to have a lot of starting pitchers in the postseason. You just need a couple. And you don't need them to go through the lineup a ton, just maybe once or twice. And then you can get to your bullpen. With that being said, and again, with the Michael King, injury that he had, it was more of a pain tolerance thing than anything else. So he's not at risk to potentially, further damage. You're not holding your breath every time he pitches. I mean, this was a nerve issue. And so now he's been trying to gear back up, and it sounds like the Padres were satisfied enough with what he did on his rehab assignment in El Paso. Add him back to the rotation. They're going to need him to do pretty well on Saturday. But I look at a potential playoff rotation, and to me, I still think, despite what might happen tomorrow, despite what might happen in his first couple of starts back, I think Michael King should be the game one starter of any playoff series. And then you go Nick Pivetta. And then whether or not you want to go Dylan Cease or Yu Darvish for game 3, a.k.a. game 4, I think you have options there. But to have Dylan Cease go game 3, there's not a lot of teams that can throw out a Dylan Cease in game 3 of a playoff series. And I think Dylan Cease is about to turn things around. I read in the Substack, letters to AJ Substack, the pitch mix and the pitch sequencing. You look at, and he did a great job laying out everything that is played out for Dylan Cease this year. And for the most of the year, Dylan Cease had been a 2-pitch pitcher. I mean, he'd been only using his fastball slider. He didn't really trust his knuckle curve all that much. You look at some of the starts where he's trying to use it more. He's missing it in the zone. I mean, down in Miami, where he looked good to start and then started to throw some knuckle curve, he hung one to Jesus Sanchez, who put it over the fence, and then it was another big blow-up outing out of Dylan Cease. His last outing was locating the knuckle curve. He was using it early and often, and he was mixing up his pitch mix to keep teams on their toes instead of them just locking into the fastball slider combo. I mean, how many times have we seen that in a Padres uniform, a starting pitcher trying to go with a 2-pitch mix? Never really works out too well. Dylan Cease got to that point because he looked like he was trusting his other pitches, and now he's starting to trust some of those pitches. I think it's going to be a little bit of a turnaround, but we'll see what happens on Sunday. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll hear one more clip from Mike Schilt, plus Yu Darvish reinventing himself. Coming up next. 11 o'clock hour on the Fan on a Friday. Hope you guys are getting excited for Padres baseball coming up this weekend. Padres Red Sox. That is going to be the place to be all weekend, Petco Park. I mean, this is one of the biggest games, biggest series of the weekend, not only for the Padres to finish out the year, but for Major League Baseball in general. I mean, this is a huge series. Both teams are second in their divisions, chasing down the two number ones that are playing each other just up the road in Los Angeles. You have the number one team in the American League East in the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the number one team in the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers, for a 3-game series this weekend. And just down the road, just down Interstate 5, the San Diego Padres, the number 2 team in the National League West, taking on the Boston Red Sox, the number 2 team in the American League East. Huge for Major League Baseball. I'm going to tell you, you're a baseball fan in general, this is the best weekend. Go down to the ballpark, go down to, Bubs or some of the places down there that got all the games on. This is a great place to camp out, watch some games, get a brew or two before you head into the ballpark. I mean, these are serious scoreboard watching times for the San Diego Padres. I mean, Kevin brought it up on a phone call. These next 2 weeks are great. I mean, this is one of the most exciting 2 weeks, I think, in recent Padres history. They're in a pennant race trying to track down the Los Angeles Dodgers to win a division for the first time since 2006. In an era where LA has been able to outspend everybody by hundreds of millions of dollars. Going into a season in which I think a lot of us thought, you know what, if they can make the wild card, great, let's see what they can do, just like last year. And now, after the great start that they had in April, going 14-3 out of the gate, to treading water for most of the first half of the season, to getting hot at the right time, to having a very exciting trade deadline. And now having a lineup and an order and a pitching staff and a bullpen that is one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. And so now, after climbing within 2 games because the Dodgers have struggled, the Dodgers have not jumped out to their usual figuring it out and getting hot. They have let the Padres hang around. They had as much as a 9-game lead in July. On July 3rd, the Padres were 9 games behind LA in first place. And everybody was ready. Oh, here we go again. And since then, the Padres have gone 17-10, and the Dodgers have gone 10-16, and the Padres are within 2 games of a potential division championship. I mean, this is something that I just have not even thought about in a long time. Just something I haven't. I mean, how cool would it be to see the San Diego Padres at Petco Park win the division, and you get to see the Western Metal Supply Company building turn into Western Division champs? I mean, that was so cool to see, and you thought, oh, it's going to happen all the time, and it hasn't happened since 2006. That is what you're playing for. And so now you're on this 2-week, and really it's a little bit longer than 2 weeks. I mean, you look at the schedule. You're playing playoff teams and teams battling for a playoff spot over the next 2.5 weeks. Through the end of August, to be honest with you. Until you get to Minnesota, and they've, they traded everybody away at the deadline. I mean, they only had 17 guys on the roster after the deadline that they had to change. They had 17 players listed on their 26-man roster on their website at the trade deadline. Red Sox, Giants, Dodgers, Mariners. That is over a 3-week span. So for the next 3 weeks, you're playing playoff teams or teams battling for a playoff spot, which are the Giants. Still division rival, so fun to get after. 2 games out of first place in the thick of things for National League pennant. You get playoff baseball in August, which is pretty fun. I mean, I remember watching a handful of years ago, before 2019, before the Padres really started to become the identity and the team that they are right now. I think it was like either 2015 or 2016. It was opening day, and opening day was always fun. But it was opening day, and the Giants opened up in Los Angeles, and you saw the rowdiness of the crowd, and you saw the energy of the game, and you saw the energy of what that game meant in terms of like rivalry, opening day, playoff atmosphere. It had been a long time since the Padres had played in any games like that, and I remember saying like, this would be really cool. You fast forward a couple of years, and unfortunately, the first year the Padres get really, really good is 2020 when nobody gets to go watch. I mean, I went to one of those playoff games as fortunate enough to do it because I had a media pass and watched the first playoff game that the Padres had since 2006. If you want to count 2007 on a game 163, it's technically kind of October baseball. But that was their first playoff game since 2006, and nobody was there. So you didn't get the atmosphere. And then they went and played in Texas and lost to the Dodgers and everything like that. And then 2021 was a down. 2021 failed miserably. 2022, you got to see it for the first time. And we've been able to see it for a long time now. But the one thing that they haven't been able to do, there's two things that they haven't been able to do yet. One, win the division, and two, make it to a World Series. They've been close. They were close last year to a division. They needed a lot of things to go their way in the last week and a half of the season, and they came up a little bit short division-wise. And then they've made it to the National League Championship Series. But I tell you what, that dream of potentially seeing the Padres play somebody and see playoff-type atmosphere in the regular season has come to fruition. And we get to see it on a daily basis. And you know what you get to see now, Padres fans? You get to see that for every single game for the next 3 weeks. And you're right there in the thick of things. We've had so many people call into the show and be like, this is the best time to be a Padres fan. This is the best time to be a Padres fan so far. Because the best time to be a Padres fan will be the year that they dethrone the Dodgers and win the division, which could be this year. It's going to be the year where they dethrone LA in the National League and they represent the National League in the World Series, and you get to see what Petco Park looks like late in October for a World Series championship. The Padres have been in the World Series twice. The first time, my dad was in high school. He was a senior in high school back in 1984. That was the first time they were in the World Series against the Detroit Tigers, who was probably one of the best teams ever assembled in Detroit Tiger history. The second time was in 1998. I was 3 years old. I don't remember any of it. I remember the home run from Tony Gwynn at Yankee Stadium, which I still think is the best moment in Padres history. Because at that one period of time, the Padres were at the top of the baseball world because they jumped out to a 2-0 lead with Kilvio Veras on first base and Tony Gwynn, who didn't hit a lot of home runs, hitting a towering home run to right field at Yankee Stadium, and then seeing the upset Joe Torre on the bench. But I was 3 years old. And you got to see Qualcomm, Jack Murphy Stadium, electric. I mean, imagine Petco Park for a World Series. I mean, these are some of the things that you start to dream about a little bit when you see this. But I'll tell you what, these next couple of weeks are going to be fun. And Padres fans, you guys have done a great job. You have done probably a better job than any fan base in Major League Baseball in helping your hometown ball club, your hometown nine, go out there and make Petco Park a very difficult place to play. And these next 3 weeks, going to have to bring it even more. Going to have to bring it on your A game, even more than you've already had. These 3 games against Boston, the 4 in 2 weeks from August 18th to the 21st against the Gigantes, and then 3 against LA. I mean, those 3 games against LA, the 22nd to the 24th at Petco Park, need to be like a playoff series, at least from our crowd. And hopefully the Padres take care of business next Friday in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Because if they can take 2 out of 3 in LA and take 2 out of 3 here at home, I think the Padres have a very, very good chance of winning the division. If they lose at either of those series, it's going to be very difficult to handle. But like we said before, this is a great time to be a Padres fan. I see people in the chat going down memory lane on a lot of different unfortunate events of San Diego sports lore. But like I said before, as everybody has said, this is the best time to be a Padres fan. I like to say this is the best time to be a Padres fan so far. There's more to come. There's more excitement to come. This Padres organization has proven that they could be a contender year in and year out. They do whatever they need to do to keep the money where they feel comfortable in spending, while also putting together a very loaded lineup. I mean, I think, and maybe we talk about this in the next segment, but since 2020, during these playoff runs that the Padres have had, 2020, 2022, 2024, and now 2025, and we'll see what happens here in the next month and a half, 2 months. 2025, I think, is the best chance the Padres have had in their history to win a World Series. Tell me if I'm wrong. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I thought last year, midway through August, that team had a good chance to potentially win a World Series. And I don't do that a lot. But I think this team's even better than it was last year. We'll discuss when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 11:18 on a Friday. Getting ready for Padres baseball as they take on the Boston Red Sox for 3. Huge weekend in Southern California in Major League Baseball. Dodgers are hosting the Blue Jays, and the Padres are hosting the Red Sox. There's a lot of great games in action this weekend. This is really turning it up and getting into playoff mode. Really kicking it up and getting into playoff mode. Reds at the Pirates this weekend. Astros at the Yankees this weekend. Phillies at the Rangers this weekend. Cubs and Cardinals. Mets and Brewers. Red Sox, Padres, Blue Jays, Dodgers. Oh, my. Going to be a fun time this weekend. Coming up the week of August 20th when the Giants come to town. Michael King is starting tomorrow. But you want to get your Michael King bobblehead presented by Cox. Crown fit for a king of the hill. This Michael King bobblehead presented by Cox features Padres ace taking his throne on the mound, donning a gold cape and crown on Wednesday, August 20th. This giveaway is limited to the first 40,000 fans in attendance. First pitch set for 6:40. Gates are open to the public 90 minutes prior. Arrive early. For more information, go to padres.com/giveaways. This is going to be the place to be this weekend, is Petco Park. There'll be no other place to be in San Diego than Petco Park as the Boston Red Sox come to take on your San Diego Padres. The gas lamp, everything around it. I mean, if you have any interest in going to the game, you should have already bought tickets already. If you haven't, go to padres.com/tickets. Try to find some tickets to go out there and support the boys this weekend. Should be a fun time. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. I did want to get to one more clip from Mike Schilt on the manager's report earlier today about not trying to overuse the bullpen, and then we'll get to the phone calls of the question of is this the best chance the Padres have had roster-wise at potentially making it to the World Series? Because I think it is. But here's Mike Schilt on the not trying to overuse his bullpen, which could be the best in baseball.
Listen, you always want to have your best arms out there, and I think it'd be wonderful if those guys could pitch every day. But they can't, or nor should they. It's just, it's a long season. And so that's the one thing that I think we'll probably have this conversation, hopefully be together for years and, but hopefully not continue to have the conversation about how really bullpens work.
Yeah.
They just can't pitch every day. And, I know people want to win. I don't think there's anybody who wants to win any more than, or equally amount as I do. I mean, AJ wants to win. Our whole team's, very much so wants to win. And yeah, when the day presents itself and those guys are available and fresh, we will absolutely run them out there. But there is a game the next day and a game the next day and a game the next day. And so you just have to be, judicious about doing it, because the other side of that coin that I also can possibly get, maybe even next week, is, are you pitching them too much? Are they going to be fresh?
Yeah.
Are they going to be there? And, sometimes you can have two desserts, but not always. And so you just have to be judicious about what that looks like. And, you clearly want to win that game, and that game is the most important game of the season. And there's no question about that. However, it is a game of a bigger picture, and you're also balancing both. And so anyway, just, hopefully I answered your question, but, yeah, of course it's, we've got a great bullpen. But just having done it for a period of time, you can't keep pitching the same guys every day, and expect that to be a recipe it's going to work. And you just need to make sure that other people take the innings, and then appropriately, based on communication, based on their usage, you fire those guys in there. And we do know there's going to be times where we're going to push those guys a little bit and have, and there's going to be times where, somebody else has got to pick up that baseball and get some outs.
You think you heard the roundtable yesterday with the two desserts comment? He might have. We said on the roundtable yesterday about going to the bullpen. He's the guy that doesn't want to start his diet yet. He's like, maybe that ice cream looks pretty good. Mike Schilt, think a little subtle move right there. Is this the best chance the Padres have had in the last, I don't know how many years, of potentially making it to a World Series? I think it is. I think this particular team, as constructed, is giving the Padres the best opportunity to win a World Series. I think it's better than last year. I think it's better than 2022. I think it's better than 2020. I think from overall start to finish, when you talk about teams that win in the postseason, they have legit pitching staffs. What did the Padres in 2020? Was pitching. Dinelson Lamet got hurt near the end of the season. Mike Clevenger got hurt near the end of the season. They were rolling out guys like rookie Ryan Weathers. They had Craig Stammen start a game. I mean, they did not have the pitching. 2022, what did the Padres in? It was Sean Manaea or Mike Clevenger having to start game 4 of the National League Championship Series. It was them trying to get a start in Los Angeles in the Division Series. I mean, it was the pitching staff running out of arms again. Having a good bullpen, but not a great bullpen. And having a very thin starting rotation. What did the Padres in last year? Well, we'll probably pitch until and cease twice when he didn't need to. But again, it was the pitching. We could talk about the 24 scoreless all you want, but I mean, they were running out of pitching again last season. So you have to have an elite bullpen if you want to make things happen in the postseason. The Padres have that. Got to have guys that could hit and all up and down the lineup. I mean, every one of those orders that we mentioned, every one of those batting orders that we mentioned in the postseason, you look at 2020, you look at 2022, you look at 2024, they all had at least a couple of guys in the lineup that were potential dark spots. Even with guys like Trent Grisham off to a great start in 2022 in New York to start the postseason, guys like Josh Bell and everything like that, Brandon Drury, those are solid bats, but not great bats. Still at the bottom of the order, wasn't phenomenal. And then you look at last year's team, same kind of deal. This year, it's a lot different. I mean, Freddie Fermin is a pretty good hitter in the 9th spot. And I saw it, and this is what I said before. If you have Jake Cronenworth batting 8th and Xander Bogaerts at the bottom batting 7th with as good of a season he's having, you're in a good spot, and that's a World Series caliber roster. I mean, look at teams that have won the World Series. Go look at their lineups. They have players like Xander Bogaerts and Jake Cronenworth batting 7th and 8th in the lineup. They have players like Gavin Sheets and Ryan O'Hearn batting lower in the lineup. You know, people always like, oh, can't have that. No, this is a good thing. It'd be a good thing to have those type of players down below, like down lower in the order. That means they have other hitters in front of them that are a lot better. I think this is the best opportunity the Padres have to potentially win a World Series, is this lineup right here. Now, they still have to do it. They have to make it to the end of the year, and we'll see what happens. And the playoffs are a crapshoot. But in terms of setting yourself up for the most overall success, I think the Padres did it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to get to your opinion on that in just a little bit. Kathy in Los Angeles, Marcus in Menifee, wait on hold. When we come back, what do you guys think? I think this is their best chance. How excited are you as a Padres fan? Where are we at right now vibe-wise? I mean, you can't ask for a better situation than what you have right now, aside from maybe just destroying everybody by 50 runs and being a super team. The lineup is good. Starting rotation is good. The bullpen is great. Defense is good. All in all, best chance to win a World Series, at least from a lineup construction standpoint. And hopefully everybody stays healthy. And we'll see what happens with the Padres here in the next couple of weeks. And this is a big weekend against the Boston Red Sox. We'll get your phone calls when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 11:33 on a Friday. Getting dialed in for Padres and Red Sox. Gwen and Chris will be on after me. Coming up at 2 o'clock. Sam Levitt will have the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. First pitch at 6:40 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to get to our sports thread in just a little bit, but I do want to get your phone calls. See where we're at right now on this Padres team. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Let's get to Kathy in L.A., always supporting the Padres up in Los Angeles. Kathy, what's going on?
Yeah, I was at that game in '84 when we beat the Cubs. That final game in '84, we beat the Cubs the other World Series, and I still remember that game, Braden. I had just graduated high school that year, and that game still. I just want to feel that feeling again.
Yeah, be able to clinch a spot to go to the World Series.
Oh my God, that was just amazing. But anyway, I called you yesterday, but you ran out of time. Ryan O'Hearn. I remember when Ryan played for the Royals. I think he got drafted as like the 8th pick in 2014, and Royals fans could not wait to get rid of him. He did not do well for the team. He was like batting, I think, under 200. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. He got, I think, DFA'd in 22, traded, I think, at the beginning of 23 to the Orioles, and now look at him. So that's why you can't rely on prospects, because you don't know what they're going to turn out, because it's been, I think, 5, 6, almost 10 years since he got pulled up, that he got drafted. 10 years, and now look at him now. So 10 years later, he's doing well. So that's why you can't rely on draft picks, because you don't know how long it's going to take him.
Yeah, absolutely, Kathy. Absolutely, Kathy. I appreciate the phone call. It kind of leads to, like, we were talked a lot about it yesterday, and that's why Kathy brought this up. But, and this is a good point. I mean, do you guys see that, that meme? It's like the Indianapolis Colts banner that they have in their stadium, Lucas Oil Stadium. And it's always the meme of, something stupid getting placed over it, right? And it's just like, oh, hang the banner. Like, you don't hang banners at Petco Park for the #1 farm system. You don't. Like, the Padres had the #1 farm system a couple of times. You don't hang banners for that. You don't hang banners for, we have the #1 prospect in baseball. You don't hang banners for the El Paso Chihuahuas win the PCL. You don't hang banners for the San Antonio Missions are the best team in AA. You don't hang a banner for the Lake Elsinore Storm having an MVP of the California League. You don't hang banners for that. You hang banners for winning a World Series. AJ Preller gets evaluated on whether or not he wins a World Series and whether or not he wins divisions and whether or not he makes the playoffs. He doesn't get evaluated for how his minor league system does. So again, as much as people love the prospects and everything like that, those are currency. The players are currency to add players to your major league team to try to win a World Series. You never know what's going to happen. That's why you brought up that's why I brought up yesterday the let's make a deal. Here's a brand new whatever you want. We said a yacht yesterday. It could be a brand new car. It could be, here's a brand new house. Here's a brand new beach house right here. Mason Miller. Brand new beach house. Or you could take what's in the mystery box. It could also be a brand new beach house. It could also be a pile of dog turds. I mean, it could be either. You have the guarantee right there. You know what you're going to get at the trade deadline. You know you're getting an established major league player, and the players that AJ Preller gets are not like average players. He goes out and gets stars. It was like the same thing with the Juan Soto deal. It's like, hey, here's Juan Soto. You know what you're going to get. Guy's a perennial all-star. Guy's going to be making $700 million on a contract. Guy's going to be one of the best players in baseball. Here's the mystery box. James Wood could be this guy. He could also not be this guy. And so when you evaluate, again, the trade deadline, we've talked about this before. You look at Leo DeVries, right? We said on the round table. Because at the round table last week, Leo had already been traded. And he got traded for a bullpen arm. But it was a brand new yacht. It's Mason Miller. Guy's 26 years old. He's got 4.5 years of control. He's one of the best relievers in baseball. Leo's the mystery box. In order for you to be upset about not picking the mystery box, it has to be better than what the option is. And if the option is so great, you're setting a high bar for the mystery box. What does Leo have to be for you to be upset? For me, it was he's got to be better than Fernando, or at least as good as Fernando Tatis Jr. That is a very high bar to set for an 18-year-old. That would be the only time I would be upset about Leo DeVries. If he's an everyday baseball player, I don't care. I don't care. If he's better than Fernando and has a better career than Fernando, you're going to sit back and be like, okay, we could have had him. It's like the Trey Turner situation, right? Like Trey Turner's a perennial all-star. He's a big piece on a lot of different teams. Guy was dynamic, still is dynamic, one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball. Your mystery box of Trey Turner was better than Will Myers. That was presented to you as Rookie of the Year, Will Myers from Tampa Bay. And, he had a good career with the Padres, but Trey Turner was the better mystery box option. And sometimes that happens. You are the Chicago White Sox. Chicago White Sox traded for James Shields. They didn't pick the mystery box. They picked James Shields. They're like, okay, James Shields, big game James. Tampa Bay, World Series, Kansas City, yay. Established every day, starter. One of the best starters in Major League Baseball. He was coming off of not that great of a year. I mean, he just had given up a home run to Bartolo Colon. They got James Shields. Mystery box was Fernando. They're kicking themselves. So it's not every time, but your chances of having success is taking the guarantee over the rolling the dice of the mystery box. And sure, the Padres have missed on a lot of mystery boxes. They took Andrew Kashner as a starting pitcher over the mystery box of Anthony Rizzo. The Padres had taken the mystery box of, at the time, Anthony Rizzo, Casey Kelly, for the established Adrian Gonzalez, who they just didn't have the money to sign. Slightly different scenario. You don't hang banners for farm systems being number one. You don't hang banners for minor league teams winning championships. You don't hang banners for having the number one prospect in Major League Baseball. You hang banners for winning the World Series, and all the moves that were made at the deadline helped the Padres and are going to help the Padres potentially win a World Series. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to Marcus at Menifee. Marcus, what's going on, man?
Hey, Braden. Happy Friday. Going back to where you were saying about dethroning the Padres, I don't want to just dethrone them. I want to have them look up at us 5 games back with us clinching that bye with either a Z or that Y next to us. That's what I want. I think that's what the fans should want too. Have a good weekend, Braden.
I appreciate it, Marcus. Yeah, absolutely. You want to see them get the division. You want to see them get the potential of the 1 seed. It's why we laid out everything that we did earlier today. Scoreboard watching. Again, the Reds are playing the Pirates today at 3:40. You're rooting for the Buccos. Mets and Brewers can go either way in terms of rooting interest, but that's a big series. That starts at 5:10 tonight. Cubs and Cardinals. Big fans of Michael McGreevy tonight and the St. Louis Cardinals at 5:15. Toronto Blue Jays, LA Dodgers at 7:10, and maybe, just maybe, Nationals and Giants rooting for the Washington Nationals. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to get back to your phone calls in just a little bit, but it is time to get to Nick DiNucci's first sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Nick, what do we got today? Nick DiNucci's first sports thread. See how he does.
Number 1.
So I'm thinking, obviously we've heard a lot about Rashawn Slater's injury and just the unfortunate timing of his signing his very large extension. It was a 4-year, $113 million contract extension. And I guess this is kind of a hybrid question observation, more of an observation if I'm being honest. I think it's just an inherently dangerous job to be a lineman in the NFL, right? And I guess my question is it really worth it for these guys to practice at such a high level if they're going to risk this type of injury, which may actually definitely could derail a career?
Well, that's an interesting question. As a football coach, I would say yes, because the best way to get in shape is to, in fact, play at this level and play at a high level.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not going to get yourself in shape.
For sure.
There is something said and something to be said about how they used to train, which was insane. But you have to practice at that spot and get in your what is called football shape. There's a lot of players that are in regular, like really good shape. But there's a difference between football shape and regular shape. Like football shape's all about contact and physicality and your body getting beat up and being able to do it again and again and again and again and full speed and full padded practices. I mean, that's what gets your body in shape so you don't get injured in the regular season. And a lot of these guys and a lot of the training now, it's like you don't do the full padded practices during the off season. You're not the OTAs and mini camps. Some of them are optional. Those were all designed not to punish the athlete, but to get them in shape for the regular season. Obviously, there's some bad eggs mixed in there that probably made it worse by overworking some players. But there was a reason why they did a lot of these things, and it was to get players in shape. No more two-a-days, no more. I mean, we have this acclimation period in high school football, and the people that came up with the acclimation period, it's done with good intentions, but when you have X amount of days, you have to get acclimated to the gear, and then the day that you have to be ready to go for a scrimmage, it's not enough time to get these kids ready to go for the regular season. I mean, they gave us, I think we had 13 days from day one of camp to our first scrimmage against Modern Day Santa Ana that has a lot of grown men on their team. And in that portion, we had 3 days with helmets. We had 2 days with 2 days with shells, whatever it is. I mean, they just got the full pads yesterday or 2 days ago. And we play a scrimmage a week from yesterday. And they have to try to get geared up with no two-a-days and none of that stuff. And it's an interesting task that they're trying to get these guys to do. And unfortunately, I think it's leading to more injuries more than protecting a lot of these players. I know it's a long answer to your question, but in terms of Slater being out, that kills the Chargers. I mean, that kills them.
For sure.
The only thing that's a benefit of this is the timing of when it happened, because now after everybody makes all their cuts, there's going to be better tackles available than if this was in the middle of the season and there would be no tackles available. So Chargers, more bad luck. I'd hate to, I mean, I'd like to say that I'm surprised, but I'm not. That's just what that organization's, they're cursed on that particular deal. That's a brutal loss to start the season. And they haven't even played their second preseason game yet. But Slater out for the year. Tough to be a Chargers fan.
Number 2.
So another injury, unfortunately. And also just kind of an observation. A guy, part pardon me on his first name. I believe his last name is Cone or Cone. I don't know how to pronounce it, and pardon me for the pronunciation. But he blew a ligament in his left knee. And I think it's just similar to what I just mentioned. Like, you have to practice at a high level, which I get. And this is just part of the nature of the game. It's just unfortunate that it does happen, but without doing it, like you said, during the middle of the season, this could happen. So you kind of have to, I guess it's just the evil within the good, if you will, if that makes sense.
Football is a brutal game. It is a brutal sport. It's a gladiator sport. It's one of the last of the gladiator sports. They're trying to make a insane game of physicality and violence non-violent. And it's not possible. It's not possible.
I agree.
I mean, you could try to make it as safe as you want, but the reason why football is so popular is because human beings love bloodshed. They are violent. We are violent creatures by nature. We like violent sports. And unfortunately, when you play violent sports, there are violent injuries. Last night's injury was almost kind of a fluke with the Ravens player. It was awful to look at. And hopefully he could get a speedy recovery. He's obviously out for the year. But it's just that it is what it is. You know, they try to eliminate all of these big hits. They try to eliminate all these things. It's the last of the gladiator sports in the world. I mean, think about what they used to watch at the Coliseum for entertainment. They watch people get killed for entertainment. Now it's like this is the closest thing to that. And they want to make it like super safe. It's that you can't make a violent sport non-violent.
No, absolutely.
It is what it is. And unfortunately, this is the risk you take playing this sport with the fame, with the fortune, with all of the factors that come to football. This is what these guys sign up for. I mean, to be their job. And unfortunately, there's injuries in violent sports. And that's why these rosters are so big. That's why you have all these bodies on these teams, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when guys are going to go down.
Right.
Number 3.
And thank you for letting me warm up to this. I got some good stuff for you here for 3, 4, and 5. For 3, I guess my question is, I know they're trying to ban the tush push. The Eagles just used it to win a preseason game. Do you think they should ban it? I don't think they should ban it, because to me, if you can find a way to score the ball from the line of scrimmage, that should count. What is your input?
Well, to go back to the safety thing, I think it's a very dangerous play. It's a super dangerous play. It affects necks and head injuries. And to me, if the NFL is so concerned about head and neck injuries, which they say they are, I don't know why this hasn't been banned yet. Because the proper position defensively to try to stop this is to get lower than the offensive line that's already in low leverage with a 4-point stance. And to do so, you jeopardize your neck and your head, and it's not great. It's not great. From a safety standpoint, this is a non-safe play. It's a very dangerous play. But what people deem dangerous and what people don't deem dangerous as fans are not always the case in terms of what is actually dangerous in football. So some big hits and some ways that, players tackle, people on the outside that have never played, have never coached, don't understand, those are not as dangerous of plays as the brotherly shove, which just leads to a lot of problems. So player safety-wise, if you're going to say you care about, all these injuries, that is a play that should be banned, in my opinion.
True.
Number 4.
Do you think Mahomes thinks himself that he should be a Madden 99 on the field? I don't think he should be. I don't think anyone is perfect. What do you think?
99? No. Should not be a 99. I don't think anybody in Madden should be a 99. I think the highest that should go is 98. They want to put the Hall of Famers in there. They should be the 99s. That should be the deal. I don't think you should have any type of 99s on the current players. I know Mahomes is upset about his Madden rating, but it doesn't matter. Moving on.
Number 5.
Kittle is one player among many who is upset about the ban of smelling salts. And I guess I'm just asking, do you think they should ban them? Because I was not aware that the NFL was trying to ban them because they may mask concussion symptoms.
The smelling salts.
If we're on the topic of safety, that seems pretty, that seems like a worthy thing to ban if it's legitimately a neurological concern. What do you think?
I mean, if they are worried about it with concussions, then yeah, it should be banned.
Per the FDA, they did like a thing, and they said this could mask symptoms, and obviously concussions are a big part of football.
Yeah, we have to go through all the concussion protocol and the testing with pupils and responses and all that stuff. Why make it harder? Why go like, oh, well, I mean, if you can't evaluate somebody because they did smelling salts for concussions, which is a big deal, you should probably get rid of the smelling salts. Again, for player safety. And a lot of players like, well, this is ridiculous. But you know what? They should probably, if it affects the concussion evaluation, which is a big talking point in the National Football League, and this takes away from that, they should probably get rid of it. And that's it. Somebody asked in the chat, it's not dangerous in rugby. Why is it? It is dangerous in rugby. Rugby has tons of neck injuries. One of my friends in high school playing rugby, doing everything the right way, broke his neck. It's the difference between concussions with a helmet and neck injuries in rugby. They're still violent sports that you're not going to be able to prevent from happening. Also, the scrum stuff is different because they're like interlocked before they start to scrum, not in a 3-point stance, firing out and getting lined up weird and getting tweaked. Good job, Nick. When we come back, we'll get back to the Padres talk in the noon lunchtime hour. San Diego Someone Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan.
Pod
New lunchtime hour on 97.3. The Fan is presented by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors in Sorrento Valley and Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. Open late on Fridays for the Nat at Night. Always do a good job at the Nat at Night. So if you don't have the ability to go down to Petco Park, go down to the Nat at Night. Coming up tonight. Get yourself some Craft Taco. Well, I have to ask Nick DiNucci because I asked Frank so many times. Have you been to the Craft Taco, Nick?
I have not. I've heard.
Whoa, what?
I have not, but I will say this. I've heard many good things. Clearly, it's something I need to try. And just throwing it out there, I'm like the least picky eater ever. And being an East Coast guy, I come here. San Diego has some of the best whatever you want food. Like, let it be known. And I appreciate that. I like that. You know what I mean? You can get whatever you want, and whatever you want, it's going to be very good. For example, I don't go to Chipotle anymore. None of that. I just feel like I'm committing a sin by going to Chipotle. That's just me. Can't do it.
I think there's different avenues, dude. I'd have a Chipotle craving. I'd have a Taco Bell craving. It's not the same as a regular burrito craving.
That's fair. It's a good
Slightly
point.
different. Slightly different. You still get a foul though, despite trying to talk your way out of it.
He draws the foul.
Not going to Craft Taco. It's part of the gig, dude. Somebody asked in the chat, I saw you star it. Is being Italian a requirement to be a producer for the show? Since we're the all-Italian show, it makes a lot of sense. A name like DiNucci. I'm just saying. Might have to be the case. If I'm going to Baltimore, by the way, I'm going to see if I can get on this Army-Navy trip again. Army-Navy game is in Baltimore. Going to Baltimore, Mr. Baltimore. What do you have to get in Baltimore?
I'm a big crab cake guy.
Oh,
I'm not.
Crab cakes.
I like crabs, but I'll just be honest. For me personally, it's a lot of work to just hit the thing with the mallet over and over, and you're not going to get. It's a lot of work for not that much meat, and so I like a crab cake because typically they're a little more expensive, but I think they're worth it. You get a nice LTO with a nice brioche or whatever bun you prefer. It's just easier, much more meat, for the less work. It's just
you have to work for it.
Yeah, you're not trying. I mean, for me, I'm not trying to sit there and hit the crab with a hammer. I'm just not. That's just not my thing. So I'm a crab cake guy. That's what I just went back for when I covered I did some work with for the radio station getting the Nationals and the Padres. I was able to get dinner with my mom and my sister. I got a crab cake and it was perfect. Chef's kiss.
All right, so you said crab cakes. What else? I don't think I got good seafood. Is it seafood in general? Or is it just the crab thing?
No, they have good. You can get definitely some good sushi there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty open minded to whatever, but I feel like Baltimore has some low key good spots. DC, there's definitely a subtle sort of diversity amongst the choices you can find.
When Nick DiNucci goes back to Baltimore, what is the first thing he gets food wise? I ask everybody that question. I'm going to ask Chris Murphy that here in an hour or so. What does Nick DiNucci get when he gets to Baltimore?
Definitely, I would say crab cake sandwich.
That's it. A crab cake sandwich.
That's my go-to, for sure.
Have you been to Point Loma Seafood yet?
I have not. I've never. I'm gonna be honest, and you're probably gonna shake your head at me and draw another foul.
You might get another foul.
I might draw another foul myself. I have never been to Point Loma. I've lived here for over 3 years. I still have not actually gone to Point Loma yet.
That's a foul.
He draws the foul.
Point Loma Seafood. They got some good stuff. Are you a calamari guy?
Absolutely, I love. Is it fried squid?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. I'm glad I had that right. Not fried octopus. That's different.
Yeah, it's squid.
Squid. I do like fried squid. Absolutely.
They have at Point Loma Seafood. I think it's just a squid sandwich, but if you get a sloppy squid sandwich, sourdough bread. You feel me so far? Sourdough bread.
Yes.
Calamari strips. Tartar sauce.
That sounds appetizing.
Yeah, it's pretty good, dude.
To say the least.
You can get a lot of good stuff down there at Point Loma Seafood. Just know, if the lot seems full, give it some time. Just wait. You will be able to get a spot. I'm telling you, that's what you got to do. Somebody asked the favorite Italian foods. Well, I'm biased. I know a lot of people that own Italian restaurants. Rovino, obviously, one of my cousin's place. Good spot down in Little Italy. And then Barbusa, of course. Took care of Sam the other day. Barbusa, great spot. Absolutely great spot. I have heard a lot of great things. I have not. I need to go down there and see my my friends, the Busalaki family that runs Barbusa. But that's a great place down in Little Italy too. Got a lot of good spots for Italian food. And of course, for me being Italian, being Sicilian, the best food is made by our family. Like the family stuff's the best. Like I asked when I was living in Texas, I asked where the best barbecue was, and everybody responded with somebody's backyard. You're not going to get good barbecue, like at least at their level. It's like you can get some good stuff at restaurants, but you're getting the best stuff at somebody's barbecue. Somebody's house is where you're going to get the best food, which I find very interesting. So there you go. I'm yet to really find great barbecue in town. And you know what? It's just after going to Texas and getting it firsthand and getting some people, some people's barbecue down in the backyard. I'm still looking for a spot. The closest I've had so far is Grand Ole Barbecue out in Flint Springs. I haven't been to like the North Park satellite campus, basically. And I'm not gonna go to the ballpark and do it. I don't feel like it gives you the full deal.
What was that name of that place you just mentioned again?
The barbecue place?
Yes. Because that'll be actually close to where my new work site is. I'm curious.
Flint Springs?
Yes, I'll be up in Monte.
Grand Ole Barbecue out in Flint Springs. It actually looks like it's a Texas barbecue joint. It's pretty cool. They got like a stage in the back, and then they put all their stuff on butcher paper, and when they run out kind of place. That's been like the closest thing I've had. I like Abby's Barbecue too. Family friend of ours. It's decent. It's good. Solid. It's over in Miramar. It's a good spot. I've been told there's a place in Poway that's really good that I need to go try. And I haven't been there yet, and I forget the name, but I want to try it. And I know Coops is good. I've heard Coops is really good down in Spring Valley, another place I haven't been to yet. So I do have to try a couple other spots. But for barbecue, like to me, I've yet to be wowed by anything here. And there's a lot of people that have grown up in other places. They can't find the good barbecue, which I think is fine. Because you can't find good burritos outside of San Diego. You can't even find good burritos in Orange County. Orange County Mexican food is just, it falls off. As for every mile you get outside of San Diego County, the Mexican food just plummets. Just plummets. Orange County Mexican food, not it. LA Mexican food, not it. San Diego Mexican food, yes. And the same thing with like pizza, dude. Like there's a couple spots here that Frank approves New York style pizza, but you know what? You're not going to be great at everything. I remember one time I was at Gaglione Brothers down over here on Mission Gorge getting a Philly cheesesteak. To me, I've yet to have a Philly cheesesteak in town that's better than Gaglione Brothers. I just have yet to have one. I like Philly cheesesteaks. There was a couple guys from Philly that were there one time. And so we were there as a family. My dad asked about the spot. It's obviously good enough for some Philly boys to be there, right? I mean, if I'm going to a Mexican food place outside of San Diego and I'm going there as a resident of that particular place and I'm going there multiple times, it's going to have to be like, it's going to have to suffice my craving of what I have at home. So they obviously liked, oh, yeah, it's good. It's nothing better than Philly, though. He's like, in Philly, we make everything the best. I'm like, all right, dude.
I don't. I agree with you. Philly cheesesteaks in Philly. No, there's probably better cheesesteaks that are made outside of Philly than in Philly. Just my 2 cents as an East Coast guy.
Wow. You know what? I think the Philly cheesesteak I had a tourist trap. I had Geno's. It was not very good. I thought it was okay. I thought Gaglione Brothers was better. But they said everything was better in Philly. And my dad did a good job. He's immediately on it. Oh, just like their burritos, right? Philly guys immediately were like, whoa, that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, you said everything was better in Philly. It's not better in Philly. You can't make a burrito anywhere outside of San Diego. I'm sorry. And have it be good for me.
One thing real quick, I've spent a lot of time in Salt Lake and Denver, and Denver has very good Mexican food. Low key. Not always known across the board, but it's, from my opinion. I've gone to a few spots out there.
That's a foul, dude.
You don't like Denver. You don't like Mexican food in Denver.
No, dude. Are you kidding me?
He draws the foul.
I do.
This guy said Denver's Mexican food is good.
No, look, it's not as good
different.
as San Diego's,
It's
but it's
probably
decent.
like sit-down Mexican food. What, do you get enchiladas or something?
No, yeah, I
You get
mean,
Rocky Mountain oysters in a tortilla?
it's not as specialized as the San Diegan Mexican food, but it's still not bad. Just my 2 cents.
Jordan Dixon reads, that's your third foul, big dog, all in one segment. You better pace yourself now.
I got to eject myself from the studio. I'm just gonna walk out. You got both jobs.
I can't believe this guy said Mexican food in Denver, dude. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We got time for a phone call here. Emily and El Cajon, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Emily?
Hey, I wanted to add to your barbecue list a Chris Ello sandwich at Cali Barbecue in Spring Valley.
They have a Chris Ello sandwich?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to try it then.
Yes. Yeah, you might have to give it a try. I don't know if you like wet barbecue or the dry barbecue.
I prefer dry. If I'm going to do sauce, it's going to be on the side. So what is on a Chris Ello sandwich at Cali Barbecue?
You know, I couldn't tell you that one. I do deliveries, and I went in there one day, and I saw his name on the menu, and they briefly said it on their show. But, yeah, Cali Barbecue.
I'm going to have to look this up real quick. Emily, I appreciate the phone call. Cali Barbecue. The Cali Comfort Barbecue? Cali Barbecue, Spring Valley. Chris Ello's pork sandwich. I'm sorry? Why am I just learning about this today? Chris Ello's got a barbecue sandwich named after him? A Chris Ello pork sandwich. Named after our original favorite SD Sports radio host, named a top 5 sandwich in San Diego by the Union Tribune. Wow. What is on this? Add to cart. What's on it?
I have a description if you like it. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, what do you got here? The Chris Ello pork sandwich.
It went away. Now I have it. It is looks like a egg roll stuffed with slow smoked pulled pork, cabbage, carrots, cheddar cheese, and our OG BBQ sauce, served with Carolina-style tangy BBQ sauce for dipping. Spring Valley Chris Ello's pork sandwich.
What's up with the carrots, Chris? Carrots? Because I try to if you go to order it on Cali Barbecue or whatever like that, they have all these add-on. I don't know what the add-ons are. And they have these sides. It just didn't say exactly what was on it. Chris L's got a barbecue sandwich. Nate Taylor, old man sandwich. Carrots. The carrots, those better be in like coleslaw or something like that. I tell you what, a pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw on it, it's not bad. Not bad. It's an egg roll is not like an egg roll that you would get at a Chinese food place.
They're talking about the bread.
The bread is yeah.
No, and I'm glad you clarified that because the chat's obviously asking. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Slaw is a waste of space on a sandwich. Hey, it's not bad with pulled pork. I'm gonna tell you. I'll have to try Cali Barbecue. I am willing to be wowed by any barbecue place in town. I will be wowed by any of them. I have yet to find barbecue that is up to the stand, and I have high standards for barbecue. I have yet to experience that. I've had a little bit of a taste at Grand Ole Barbecue. I haven't been to Cali Barbecue. I'll try it. I haven't been to Coops yet. I need to try it. But I've been yet to be wowed by barbecue in San Diego. Somebody wow me, please. Somebody wow me, please. I'm open. Food connoisseur. Some people even say foodie. I have to watch what I eat so I can eat more of this stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, I've yet to be wowed. And again, I went to the Grand Ole Barbecue in Flint Springs. I did not go to the one at Petco. I refuse to go. If I'm going to give a place a first shot, it's not going to be at a different, at not their home. I'm not going to get them on an away field. All right, the home building, home field advantage. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We got to take a quick break. We're going to dive back into Padres baseball and the what happened at the trade deadline for San Diego. Why AJ Preller, the inside look of AJ Preller's big moves when we come back. Sparked a lot of debate in the noon lunchtime hour barbecue talk today. Baseball coverage, which we're going to get back to here momentarily on 97 through the fans, presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com, get a great deal on iPhone 16 Pro. Smoking Jays? I think it's the Poway place. Smoking Jay's Barbecue in Poway. That's the place I need to go visit too, because I don't live far from Poway. And I haven't been to Cali Comfort yet either. I got to see. Chris L's got his own sandwich at Cali Comfort, which is awesome. That's hilarious. It says it's award-winning. That's even better. If Chris L's name is on something, it better be a hit. I'm just saying. So, and everybody's got their opinion now. This place sucks. This place is great. No, that place is great. This place sucks. I'm willing to try it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kathleen in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kathleen?
Hello?
Hello. What's going on?
Oh, hi. Hi, Braden.
Hi.
I listen to you every day on your show. One time I talked to Frank about T-shirts. I'm recommending the barbecue pit from National City.
Barbecue pit from National City, says
Boston
Kathleen.
Island.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll add it to my list. Kathleen, I appreciate the phone call. She was adorable. Barbecue pit. Can you add it to the list over there? Are you writing this down, Nick? All right. Good spots to go to. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Brad and Escondido, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Brad?
Braden, how are you, man? Hey, coleslaw is like Yuli Gurriel. There's just no room on the roster.
You got to, you know what? You got to get on the side and then just not eat it. I don't mind it on a pulled pork sandwich. This man
I don't
goes.
want it on my plate.
This
I
man
don't want
goes.
the juice on my plate, man. Sorry.
This man
Hey,
goes.
barbecue
Coleslaw
pit,
is like Yuli Gurriel. No place on the roster. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. What else you got for me, Brad?
Barbecue pit and PB. I think there's still one around. Best ever. They dip the buns in the au jus.
Oh, nice.
Die for it. Hey, this Padre team, man, Preller, you got to love the guy. He rolled the dice and it came up sixes, man. This Luriano, great fit for left field. Fermin catching, you just got to love his youth, and the guy's hitting. Just got to love it. He didn't go wrong in any of these guys.
Everything's been good, Brad. I mean, everything's definitely been good. I appreciate the phone call, man. That was the phone call of the day. Racket! You got to make that. You got to save that clip.
Yeah, someone said no.
Send it to Frank.
We're making that a bite. 100%.
You got to make that a drop.
I'll mark the time. That's happening.
Coleslaw is like Yuli Gurriel. No place on a roster. Poor Yuli, man. The shade just out of nowhere. What a stray.
What a strong stray at that.
What a stray. I don't know if that's more of a stray to Coleslaw or Yuli Gurriel. Oh my God. I didn't think a second. That's amazing. Brad from the top rope. Guys ready for Survivor Series, man. Oh my God.
Applause for Brad.
I'm glad he related back to the Padres, because I think everybody's just calling in to give us some food selections, which is fine. If you give me a food selection, give me a Padres take too. We are a sports show after all, but it is the lunchtime hour. Just looking out for everybody out there. Andrew in San Diego, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Andrew?
Oh, I'm just going to get my free cluck sandwich at Jack in the Box. But back to the Padres. The Padres are a BBB accredited business, and I put my trust in AJ Preller. And,
Absolutely.
That's where I work, so that's why I bring it up. But it's Preller we trust. You have to trust him, even though sells the farm. I think that's what the farm is there for, is get the crop, and you got to sell it.
Andrew, absolutely. That's kind of what we've been talking about the last couple of days, and he's done a good job of putting together a team that can potentially win a World Series. I think this team is set up to do a lot of damage in the postseason. What was this phone caller here? Number 4?
That is Fred.
Fred in San Diego. You're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Fred?
No, much. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. What do you got for me today?
All right. Like you, I've been searching this whole entire town for some good barbecue. Couldn't find it anywhere. I've tried most places everyone's already said.
Most
The
places.
the only place that has served me well with good food and sides is IQ Barbecue. The only barbecue spot in the city that I can go to.
IQ,
You
where's it
must
at?
try.
Where's it at?
Oh, see, I'm kind of new to the city, so I'm not exactly sure. It's near a freeway.
It's
But
near
it's
a
spelled
freeway, he
I.
says.
Right. I can't. Right off a freeway. It's very easy to get to, but it's spelled I, then QUE, then barbecue.
I found it.
The
I found
best
it, Fred.
barbecue in the place.
All right. It's in
Yeah.
La Mesa.
It needs to be your first spot.
All right.
It
I'll
needs to
add
be
it.
your
I'll
first
add it to the list. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Fred.
All
Thank you
right.
for the phone
You
call,
have
man.
a good one, man.
IQ Barbecue. IQUE. It's in La Mesa. He draws the foul for no directions. It's by a freeway, he says. Oh, okay.
He draws the foul.
New to town. Guy doesn't know. Hey, it's not his fault. IQ Barbecue's in La Mesa. Good to know. All right. We still got a couple more here. Nate and San Marcos, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Nate?
Yeah, speaking of barbecue, the Dodgers are going to get barbecued by the Blue Jays this weekend.
I hope that's the case, Nate. That'd be great, especially if the Padres take 2 out of 3. Let's gain some more games in the standings.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Nate. Man of many words. The coleslaw statement is the funniest thing I've heard all week. Second funniest thing I've heard all week. Funniest thing I've heard all week. The funniest thing I've read all week was Matty Ice on a comeback yesterday. It was dying. He fell into my trap, and his comeback on the chat was just absolutely hysterical that I could not say nor put on the YouTube. It was good. It was good stuff. It was a fun week. All right. We're going to go back to Padres baseball when we come back. Did AJ Preller go too far to land Mason Miller, or is it exactly why you love him? We've been putting this off for a handful of times now. I want to take a deeper dive into it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station 97 through the Fan. It's definitely been the noon lunchtime hour. We haven't gotten to the food stuff in a long time. We're done talking. I went off the rails a little bit. This noon lunchtime hour is brought to you by the Craft Taco, bold flavors in Serrano Valley and Balboa Park's Natural History Museum, open late on Fridays for Nat at Night. Got a lot of good recommendations. I didn't show you the doc. We have a document, Nick. We have a document that we have a list of all the food recommendations, places that we have to go check out. Did you write some of those names down? In general? All right.
I did.
We got to pass that along to Frank to add to our list because we got to go try these places. I got to go to Smoking Jay's. I got to go to Cali Comfort Barbecue. Get the Chris Ello sandwich, which is awesome. Award-winning sandwich for Chris Ello. That's the best part. And there's a couple other places, obviously, that we got to go check out, and it's great. All right. Let's go back into Padres baseball. I don't want to spend too much more time on the trade deadline stuff. I think everybody knows how much it worked out. But there was kind of an inside look to it earlier in the week that was discussed in an article that we've been putting off now for a couple of days. We've had a lot of other things, come about. But the question that arises, and the big question I think at the trade deadline was there was two. There was one about overpaying maybe to land Mason Miller. Is it worth giving up a guy like Leo DeVries? Did AJ probably go too far to land Mason Miller, or is this exactly why you love him? And the other one, obviously, was the Freddie Vermin deal. So AJ Preller did it again, outmaneuvered big market teams, and pulled off the splashiest deadline deal by landing elite closer Mason Miller from the A's. And once again, he did it in classic Preller fashion. The A's initially weren't even willing to engage with the Padres. Preller asked them for the names of pitching prospects they liked from other teams to try to acquire those players in a 3-team deal to potentially land Mason Miller and J.P. Sears. The A's refused. They wanted a clean, direct deal. The Phillies, the Yankees, the Mets were all in the mix, but none were willing to give up what Preller ended up giving up. The Padres eventually parted with top prospect Leo DeVries and 3 promising arms. The trade came together only after A.J. Preller added Freddie Fermin, Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, Will Wagner, and Nestor Cortez, giving San Diego a more complete roster. He had all of these in the bag. He was working on all of these. And at the point where he knew he was probably going to get most of these deals, he pulled the trigger. Now, A.J. Preller insists this wasn't about wearing the A's down. He says the deal only happened because the Padres felt they were building a legit title contender. This is something that was kind of laid out earlier in the week. Now, something that happened more recently, at least in the news, as more of these stories start to trickle out on the trade deadline. One of them was the fact, and Kevin Acee had this, that the Padres and A.J. Preller threw in a couple more prospects to get the Orioles to pay for Ryan O'Hearn up until league minimum, and to get the Orioles to pay for Ramon Laureano up until league minimum. Those are the two major deals. So that was one of the potential moves that were made, right? That was one of the one of the details that we have now received on the trade deadline. I mean, the inner workings of A.J. Preller for a trade deadline is really remarkable to watch. I mean, it's truly crazy. And you look at some of the other, the conversations that happen and the different looks at the trade deadline. And we talked a lot about these before the trade deadline really happened, about previous conversations, how deals went down, what's it like dealing with A.J. Preller, and all this other stuff. So you look at what was potentially one of the more fun deadlines in recent memory, and Mark Feinstein had this article today. He talks more about A.J. Preller. multiple executives pointed to the one guy who always seems willing to pay that cost in an effort to win, Padres general manager A.J. Preller. Preller made 5 trades involving 22 players on deadline day, none bigger than the 6-player deal that landed Mason Miller in San Diego. The centerpiece of the deal on the athletic side was obviously shortstop Leo DeVries, who is ranked by MLB Pipeline as number 3rd prospect in baseball. Quote from an AL executive, Preller drives everyone nuts. He basically kept multiple teams on the hook as he shopped Leo DeVries. He was a buyer, but kind of operated like a seller in terms of auctioning off DeVries to the highest bidder. This is what one anonymous American League executive said. DeVries became the first top 5 prospect traded during the season since MLB Pipeline began its rankings in 2004, and only the 3rd top 10 prospect dealt at the deadline during that time. The others were Eloy Jimenez and Scott Kazmir. Quote, the same trend over the last few years has grown where buying teams really won't give up top prospects, a National League executive said. San Diego is the exception, of course. They go into more detail about how, some of the trades come about. And then executives talk about, teams just don't give up the high-end prospects anymore for rentals and everything like that. But the wheeling and dealing from A.J. Preller, again, is it him going too far? Or is this exactly why you love him? A.J. Preller insists, again, this wasn't about wearing down the A's. The deal only happened because the Padres felt they were really building a legit title contender, and they needed Mason Miller. Does this deal prove A.J. Preller is obsessed with star power at all costs, or is he the only general manager aggressive enough to actually try to win? I think it's a little bit of both. I honestly think it's a little bit of both. I think A.J. Preller is a little bit of obsessed with trying to get star power. But again, as we mentioned earlier in the show, you don't hang banners for being the number 1 farm system in Major League Baseball. You don't hang banners for winning the PCL championship, although the Chihuahuas might, but you're not hanging one at Petco Park. You hang banners for winning World Series, for winning division titles. They have hung some banners for making the playoffs. But I think A.J. Preller is the one that's savvy enough to go out there and make those aggressive plays. I think it makes it exciting for baseball. I think it makes it exciting for Padres fans. Would I have traded a top prospect for Leo DeVries for a reliever? Probably not. And I think if you get into the conservative approach and sitting on your hands and not willing to pull the trigger or being afraid to make a deal, I think it leads to catastrophic failure. We saw that piece from earlier, before the trade deadline happened, about previous trade deadlines, and Jerry DiPoto, the general manager of the Seattle Mariners, is quoted in there saying what A.J. Preller told him one time, and told him right around the time that they acquired Austin Nola. We are willing to do something stupid, not crazy. They won't do anything crazy, which to me, crazy is reckless. Stupid might be aggressive. It's the same thing with the offensive philosophy of the Padres. You want them to be aggressive, not reckless, and the Padres have been aggressive. Now, some of the times in being aggressive, it might look stupid when it doesn't work. But it doesn't look reckless. I go back to the last game the Padres played with the double steal, trying to make something happen on the base pass when you didn't have any runs against Arizona, obviously trying to go out there and win a game. It's an aggressive behavior to do that play, and some would say it's stupid with Jake Cronenworth at third and Luis Ariz at the plate, but it's not reckless. I don't necessarily think it was stupid. I thought it was aggressive. I think aggressiveness can come across as maybe stupidity, but at the same time, I'd rather have the team wheeling and dealing. I'd rather have the team taking chances. I'd rather have the team being aggressive, whether that be in the front office with A.J. Preller or on the field with Mike Schilt. I think it's one, way more entertaining, and two, fortune favors the bold. I'd rather have the organization that takes risks and wants to go after something and go get it than the one that's just going to await for that thing to arrive. And AJ Preller is the general manager that's going to get after it. He's going to go after it. He's not going to be the one that waits for something to fall into his lap. Did AJ Preller overpay? Or did he just outwork the competition? I mean, it sounds like Leo DeVries was getting dangled in a lot of different areas. I think as much as it might seem like an overpay, and we've talked about this ad nauseum now with the prospects and everything like that. But the reality is, if they can make it to the World Series, or if they even win the World Series, it's not really much of an overpay because you got what you needed. And here's the other thing. This is the difference between Major League Baseball and the NFL and Major League Baseball and the NBA. Everybody's getting a first-round draft pick every single year. There's a couple of instances in which you sacrifice your first-round pick for certain things, like in terms of dropping spots because of luxury tax. I mean, but everybody's getting a first-round pick. You can't trade it away. And when you talk about how the Padres run their farm system, it's about developing currency to improve their major league roster. I mean, that's all a farm system is in general. The farm system for Major League Baseball teams are creating assets to help the major league team. Either the assets themselves physically being up and being future Padres, like a Fernando Tatis Jr., like a Jackson Merrill, you know, the chosen one category of the farm system, or they develop to become pieces to acquire good major league talent that you know is established, that you know what you're going to get, and it's a guarantee. Your currency bucket. We talked a lot about this yesterday. And the thing is you look at some of the trades that have been made by the Padres, and you look at the talent pickup. Go back, and I saw our friend on Twitter, Too Much Mortons, Giannis Antetokounmpo. He put this out 16 hours ago. And he goes, basically got Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano because of the 2024 draft. The 2024 draft. How many times at the trade deadline you're sitting there going like, they have nothing left to trade? How many times MLB Pipeline has told you they have nothing to trade? They've depleted their farm system. We heard that in 2022, did we not? We heard that in 2022. They got nothing left. They just traded their entire farm system for Juan Soto and Josh Hader. They got nothing left. It's going to come back and haunt them eventually. What happened in 2024? Last year's draft. We are talking about last year's draft. First overall pick, Cash Mayfield, still part of the organization. The second pick, first pick for the Padres, 25th overall. My mistake. Cash Mayfield, still part of the Padres. Boston Bateman, second round pick, shipped off at the deadline. Third round pick, Cobb Hightower, shipped off at the deadline. Fourth round pick, Tyson Neighbors, shipped off at the deadline. They still have in their organization Kavares Tears, Clark Candiati, Cale Fountain, Darian McDowell, Kai Roberts, Nick Wisman, Zach Evans, Jack Costello, Sean Barnett. 12th round pick, Brandon Butterworth, shipped off to Baltimore. 13th round pick, Matthew Watson, Brandon Dufree in the 14th round. Both of them still on the team. 15th round pick, Tanner Smith, shipped off. Cason Wells, 16th round pick. Ryan Jackson, 17th round pick, still in the organization. 18th round pick, Victor Figueroa, shipped off. That was just the 2024 draft. Go back and look at other drafts that the Padres have had that are no longer part of the organization. in their ability to acquire talent. 2021 draft. Jackson Merrill, first pick for the Padres, 27th overall pick. He's part of the organization. He's an all-star. He's under contract for a long time. He's in the chosen one bin. Second round pick was James Wood. Got you Juan Soto. Third round pick, or really competitive balance, comp pick, 71st pick overall, Robert Gasser. Got you Josh Hader. Kevin Kopps is the third round pick. Fourth round pick, Jackson Wolf was traded off. Fifth round pick, Max Ferguson. Sixth round pick, Ryan Bergert. Got him in the 6th round. He turned in to Freddie Fermin. Their 7th through 10th round picks in the 2021 draft, all still under Padres control. The 11th round pick, River Ryan, obviously no longer part of the organization. Alec Jacob has been gone. And remember, the 20th overall pick, the 20th round pick for the San Diego Padres in 2021 was none other than high schooler Chase Burns, who had a great career at Tennessee, went on to play at Wake Forest, and is now starting for the Cincinnati Reds tonight against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They got him in the 20th round. This scouting department, this organization, finds talent. Finds talent. And they have turned said talent into your current Major League Baseball team. So every time, again, and this is why we played Mike Farron's quote on MLB Network radio yesterday. Every time somebody panics and goes, this is going to all come down to a crashing end, because you know what? I think people say that because they want it to happen, because they love misery. Misery loves company. And I think there's a lot of people that really love the Padres, or had loved the Padres because they were always miserable and you could be around other miserable people. But if you're looking at it from a negative standpoint, again, what proves it wrong is what Mike Farron said yesterday on MLB Network Radio that we played on the air. The Padres have shown that they can have sustained success. If and when they make the postseason this year, in 2025, they would have made the postseason 4 out of the last 6 years. We heard it in 2020. They traded the entire farm system away. This is all going to come back and kill them later. 2022, they made the postseason. What did they do in 2022? Shipped off their entire farm system again. This is all going to come crashing down. There's no way they can continue to do this. It's going to hurt them in the next 2 years. They're so screwed. We have to win it this year. Otherwise, we have no other chance. I rebuilt the farm system again. 2024, last season, same thing. Shipped off all these players to Miami for Luis Ariz earlier in the season, Tanner Scott at the deadline. Shipped off all these players for Dylan Cease. And some of the big trades that they made. Shipped off other players to Tampa for Jason Adam. I mean, think about some of the moves. And what was the narrative again? They're going to get screwed. There's no way they can keep this up. They have nothing left. They're not going to be able to make any trades. They have to win this year. Otherwise, it's not going to be great. And then you get another offseason where they don't really do anything. And the optimistic people are like, well, maybe they can make the playoffs and see what happens. And then this year, again, at the trade deadline, they establish themselves as a team that is legit, a team that has depth, a team that has major league ready players, a team that has all-stars, a team that is the most complete team they have had probably in the last 5 years. That is where we're at right now. And it was the 2024 draft that got you Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn. Who knows with the 19 players that they just drafted a month ago are going to get you in 2025. Or sorry, in 2026. Who knows? Seriously, who knows what they're going to get you? I mean, Cruz Schoolcraft basically replaced Boston Bateman. I mean, he's like the same size kid. Their ability to find talent is crazy. And in that Nestor Cortez deal, They got back Quintana, who is a middle infielder that already looks pretty good for the Storm. They find talent everywhere. That's why it's not like a major. That's why I don't think it's that big of a concern. This is why AJ Preller has done such a great job as the general manager of the San Diego Padres. It's that ability to continue to find talent and to continue to put together great Major League Baseball teams. I've said it already. I've said it multiple times. They don't hang banners for having the number one farm system. They hang banners for winning the division and winning a World Series. And the Padres are poised and have put themselves in a position to potentially do both this year. He's done a great job. The scouting department's done a great job of finding talent. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973 if you want to join the show. But coming up next, Boston Red Sox pitcher Chris Murphy's going to join us on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Sports Station 97 for the Fan. 1 o'clock hour on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Getting ready for Padres baseball coming up at 6:40. Pregame, Eco-Water Soak Cookout Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 5:40. Gwen and Chris will be on after me coming up in just a little bit. But before we get to Gwen and Chris, we do have a special guest. He is a San Diego Torero. He was graduated from Granada Hills High School before attending USD and playing for Rich Hill and back then assistant coach Brock Ungrich, now the head coach of the USD Toreros baseball team. He was drafted by the Boston Red Sox in the 6th round of the 2019 MLB draft. His name is Chris Murphy. He is a current Boston Red Sox pitcher back in town with the BoSox to take on the San Diego Padres. Chris, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, Braden? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I just missed you at USD working for the baseball team. A lot of your teammates I have gotten to know over the years. Some kids that I actually coached high school football with were on your senior year team. I now get to work with Grady Miller, one of your teammates, and of course, Brock Ungrich. I was texting Brock last night about you coming on the show. Brock says you're excited to be back in San Diego. What's it like coming to the place that you played your college ball?
I love this place, man. I mean, I'm sitting in my hotel room just looking out at the bay, and it's gorgeous. It's one of those things that just, it's like riding a bike being down here. I miss this place a lot. Beautiful weather. Played golf yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, it's a hot day." I'm like, "Are you kidding?"
Chris Murphy, Boston Red Sox pitcher, joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Tell us about your time at USD, why you ended up going to play for Coach Rich Hill and Brock Ungrich, getting to work with Matt Floor as well. Some of the guys there at the time you were there, and what USD baseball is all about.
Yeah, so I really kind of learned what a team should be, like a great group of guys, just one of those environments where they're your friends on and off the field, and kind of learn that in college, and you get to pro ball and it becomes a little more individualized. But when I got recruited by Coach Hill, I had just decommitted from UC Berkeley. They went through a coaching change, and USD kind of just fell into my lap, and I couldn't really say no. Did you take one 20-minute visit to the campus and you're like, yeah, I want to go here. And I've heard about the new facility now, so I can't imagine what it would be like going on a visit there in these days. Played for Coach Hill and Coach Nathan Choate for my first 2 years there, and then Brock came in and Flo came in my junior year, and I saw that those two guys wanted to turn the program around, and it's been awesome seeing that ever since. Definitely learned how to be an adult in college and kind of handling my life and learning my routines as a baseball player, and just kind of how to handle yourself on and off the field.
We're talking with Chris Murphy, Boston Red Sox pitcher, in town, obviously, with the BoSox to take on the San Diego Padres, joining me on the Braden Surprenant Show. Let's talk about the season so far for the Red Sox. Obviously, guys picked by a lot of experts to win the American League. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but have really gotten dialed in the last couple of months. You're right there in the thick of things in the American League East standings. What is the team atmosphere, team vibe like heading into this series? Especially just coming off of a very fun trade deadline around Major League Baseball.
I think since I joined the team about a month and a half ago, I was coming off Tommy John. So I was on a rehab assignment and then just came back up and kind of joined in right on that 10 game win streak that we had, and then took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, took 2 or 3 from the Twins, swept the Astros, and it's been fun. Like, we got shirts, we say we're tremendously locked in. Romy Gonzalez has coined that term. It's been a fun group. This group of guys we're just fun enough, just young enough to kind of just play fun baseball. I think that's something that's different this year between 2023 and now. Didn't experience last year, but these guys are firing on all cylinders. It's awesome having Bregman back in the lineup, and guys like Rob Refsnyder and Romy Gonzalez and Roman Anthony. All those guys are doing their things, and everybody's kind of doing their job. And I think that's kind of one thing. Keep kicking the can down the road. Everybody does their job every single day, and if someone can't do it that day, someone else is there to pick up the slack, and I think that's what good teams do.
What's it like playing for Alex Cora?
AC is an awesome guy, man. Just been around the game for so long, so much feel, just savvy in terms of that. And he's a player's manager. You hear all these players say that, and I can't say enough good things about him. He's intense, but at the same time, you're going to get honesty out of him, and he trusts every single guy on the team, and I firmly believe that. And you can see it when we get out there. We want to play for him, so I would say that's awesome at that point.
We're talking with Boston Red Sox pitcher Chris Murphy. He is a graduate of Granada Hills in Southern California. USD Torero, drafted by the Red Sox the 6th round in the 2019 draft. Obviously, member of the Red Sox in town this weekend. Chris, you got some fun left-handers in your guys' pitching staff. Aroldis Chapman, a veteran that has been there and done that. Obviously, starting pitcher and Garrett Crochet as a left-hander. Yourself, one of the lefties in the staff. And a lot of guys that have accomplished a lot of great things. What's it like talking pitching with your guys, with your pitching staff and a lot of the veterans you have on the team?
Talking pitching just in general with more than just the lefties. I talk to a lot of righties on how they get righties out, or lefties how they get lefties out, and just little things like that. Watching each other's routines, and Aroldis Chapman's a freak of nature, and I can't comprehend half the things that he does, and it boggles my mind every single time. And it's pretty cool to share a bullpen with a guy that I don't know if there will ever be someone else like that guy who's dumbbell pressing, overhead pressing 120s for 8, and then he's throwing 101 3 hours later in the game. Does just make it make sense. But just good baseball knowledge, good fun bullpen. And then Garrett Crochet is one of the funniest guys off the mound, and then he locks in. He's an absolute competitor, and it's awesome watching him do his thing. And Sneaky's 25 years old, 26 years old. But a guy like Justin Wilson in the bullpen, probably the most slept on guy. Like, he has 10 years of major league service, been around the block, and just a good guy to spit ideas off of, because he's been so consistent his whole career. And just those little things go a long way in terms of a pitching staff.
Well, you're back in San Diego and have an opportunity to pitch, obviously, this weekend in a place that means a lot to you. But, staggered, the bullpens are really nice, like close to each other in most ballparks, just like Petco Park. For a guy that's out there in the bullpen every once in a while, I mean, do you guys ever exchange conversations with the other team's bullpen?
Not during the game, unless there's we had the bench clear with Neris and our third base coach against the Astros, and bullpens are right next to each other in Fenway. We're running back, and everyone's like, "Did anybody see what happened?" Just like, "No, I didn't see what happened. We just ran out here." But other than that, if you know anybody, you talk to them pregame. In the minor leagues, I've definitely done some talking with opposing bullpens, but in the big leagues, it's time to lock in, ready to go.
What's your approach during a game, waiting for the phone call and going into games? I mean, obviously there's days that you think that you're told you're hot. There's other days that you might not be hot, but what's the process like for Chris Murphy when that phone rings?
I go about my day, my routine in the bullpen is if I'm hot or not. No, I don't want to sit down for 9 straight innings, even if I'm down. I'll get up, move around in the third, move around in the fourth, do some stretching, some plyo balls, and then when that phone rings, like, that adrenaline's going to get you ready, and you just trust that you're there, you're ready to go when that phone rings. Other than that, I try not to think about it, and it's go time.
How many friends and family going to be there tonight?
Quite a few. My mom's in town with a few of her friends. I've got some friends from back home in LA, and some fantasy football guys are going to be. I got them some BP passes. They're going to be behind home plate today during batting practice. Chop it up with them a little bit, and I'm looking forward to this series. It's going to be fun.
Should be a lot of fun. We appreciate you coming on, but before you go, I have to ask this. We have a lot of San Diego natives that come onto the show that represent a lot of their teams in Major League Baseball. It's cool to see San Diego baseball represented. You're obviously an adopted part of that family, being a USD Torero and having this place mean a lot to you. When you come back to San Diego and you come back to visit your college and everything like that, when you have time during the off season or even right now, I know you said you played golf, but what is the one place you have to try to go to food-wise in San Diego when you come back?
Tacos El Gordo, not the one in downtown, the one in Chula Vista. Got to go there. Probably going to go there tonight.
I was thinking you'd say JV's or somebody over close to campus.
Is great. JV's is great. Matador is great. But Tacos LG, man, like I'm fiending for that. Or In-N-Out. Like I haven't had In-N-Out in a while either. I'm trying to think of other San Diego food that I've been really missing out on.
I'm sure
I
you'll
think
come
straight
up.
Tacos El Gordo is the first thing that comes to mind.
Hey, that's
but California burritos are going to be in the clubhouse today. Whether that's good or bad for us, I don't know. But I need a Cali B today. So
how does that work exactly? Do they have the clubby down there that cooks for the teal, or you are the San Diego guys are just that roll into town and be like, hey, we got to get some Mexican food here?
Well, I think it's in the kitchen. I have never played at this ballpark first time, so I don't know if they're ordering in or if it's something that they make in house. But like in Philly, everybody's ordering Philly cheesesteaks from those guys, and I think there's different things that every visiting stadium you go to is what's their staple, and I hope that the kitchen here has Cali B's being made as I get there.
Well, that'd be obviously great in hand before you get out there and work. I have to. You brought up the Philly thing. How many cheesesteaks have you taken down in Philly in a series, if you've been able to do that? And how many do you think you can take down the next time you go to Philly? I know it's hard in the Red Sox not playing Philly too much, but if you haven't done it, I'd like to know how many you think you could take down.
Tell you what, I had one each day that I was there, and I was extremely full after one. I doubt that I could even do two, and like I'm sure I could spread them out, but the single day record's never going to be beat. 10.5 done like 2022 by a player. That's ridiculous. 10.5 gigantic cheesesteaks in a day. It's quite impressive. There's AC Alex Cora actually talks about how he thinks that's a ploy for the Phillies winning at home. Is you have all these players eating Philly cheesesteaks pregame, and like, yeah, it's going to lead to you being a little sluggish out there. So look at their splits at home and road. It's pretty calculated and smart if that's the goal there.
Well, I think a lot of Padres fans probably hope that you guys down a lot of California burritos today.
Probably. I'll probably stick to my one and call it a day.
Last thing for you. If you had to pick a player in the Red Sox that could probably down the most cheesesteaks, or maybe it's a coach, maybe it's your strength guy, who's your pick to try to break the single day record or the series record, which it's going to be tough because you got to have a 4-game series. The American League doesn't get to have a 4-game series in Philly.
Oh, they have a 4-game series record, a 3-game series record, and a 1-day record, all in that clubhouse. So they separate it.
What player, staff member?
Tristan Cassis, we almost flew him out to do it. He said he could do 10 in one sitting without getting up. And he eats an absurd amount of food. You go to a steakhouse with him, he gets 2 seafood towers and a tomahawk for 2 just for himself. So I got no doubt that it would be Cassis. Beyond that, I would probably say our strength coach, Joe Hudson.
Strength coaches always can down the most food. Chris, I've taken enough of your time. I hope the Cali B hits. Today, I hope you enjoy yourself. It's glad to have you back in San Diego, and enjoy the trip. And obviously, a lot of Padres fans hope you don't pitch very well, but hopefully you do pitch well in a Red Sox loss. We really appreciate the time, man. Go Toreros.
Appreciate it, Braden. Thank you. Go Toreros.
Chris Murphy, Red Sox pitcher, joining us today on the Braden Surprenant Show. Really appreciate him and his time. When we come back, Drake Hills will join us in studio to finish up the rest of the week here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Like right now?
That was a fun conversation with Chris Murphy, USD Torero, and a bullpen piece for the Boston Red Sox in town to take on our San Diego Padres the next 3 days. Should be a big weekend series around Major League Baseball. We had to miss the midday sports standoff. If you take me down this month in sports trivia, you would be qualified for a grand prize, a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas, plus VIP admission to AYU Day Club and 175 food and beverage credits. Celebrate summer with a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas. Dine poolside at one of the 5 unique pool experiences in the 5.5 acres pool complex, largest elevated pool deck on the Las Vegas Strip, and experience AYU Day Club, a stunning oasis inspired by the islands of Southeast Asia, where the ultimate party concepts transform the weekend into a never-ending summer. Special summer rates available now at rwlasvegas.com, now offering no resort fees and complimentary parking. We are joined in studio by a special guest that usually joins us on Friday. He's going to be here for a couple of segments. We're going to talk some soccer as part of our Soccer 101, and we're going to let Drake dive into some baseball chatter as well here in town. Drake is a local product from San Diego. Has gone on to do a lot of great things in covering soccer. He now is a contributing writer for Black Players for Change. And again, he joins us each and every Friday to talk Soccer 101 and some MLS. Drake, welcome. Welcome to the studio.
No, it's finally able to put a face to the names, I guess, and seeing the team, seeing the studio, seeing how the sausage is made.
That's right.
And where soccer is landing when I'm giving you guys all the takes.
Absolutely.
You know, where is soccer on Fridays afternoons? So I'm glad to be here. Happy to be here. Let's make a tradition out of this, man. I'm feeling good. Got my miles in this morning. You know, Leagues Cup for San Diego FC is over. So we're back into MLS soccer. You got Sporting Kansas City this weekend, and it's going to get a little more difficult as we get into September. Los Angeles FC, Sung Hyun Min from Spurs from the Premier League is now an LAFC player, so they are jumping right now, one of the stronger teams in the Western Conference. But as I said, some good opportunities for 3 points for San Diego FC. But I know we're going to talk about that. So
we're going to talk about that for sure. Unfortunately, you missed Frank today. Frank is off today. So, but you met him at the San Diego FC game. So that's cool. We got you the T-shirt, which is great. So let's we'll get to the there was a lot of transfers and other moves made by contending teams in MLS that obviously affect San Diego FC. San Diego FC did pick up another local product, though,
they did
as well, who is also a Don.
That's right.
Who was a Don at the same time we were Dons, and I had no idea that he was at Cathedral. We'll talk about him in a bit. Let's recap the Leagues Cup. What did you see out of San Diego FC during the Leagues Cup, the 3 games that they played?
I'm going to start 30,000 feet, Braden, because I think that for an expansion team, it's very interesting to be a part of a tournament like this, where you have basically the top half of MLS in terms of last year's total standings and their performance in the regular season going up against the entire Mexican League's best of the best, right? So every single Mexican team and half of MLS, or more than half, I should say, were in this tournament. So it was a litmus test for San Diego FC. Exactly who are we on the continent? How good are we? And so you're going up against teams, just to contextualize for you guys, Tigres is a multi-time Liga MX champion, one of the top 3 clubs in not only Mexico, but dare I say, the entire North America and Central America. So going up against a team like that, where a 2-1 loss at home, yes, but this is against a pretty good team. So I'm looking at the start. I call it the Chucky Lozano Cup, right, against Pachuca. A near comeback. Right,
near comeback and a fluke goal for Pachuca.
Right. A near comeback, and I think a game that you're starting to see some of that depth. Right. Yes, Anders Dreyer gets a goal, but you get Luca Bambino, you get Emma Boateng, who has come in and out of the starting lineup, but has been used as a super sub, if you will, especially in the winger position. So you're seeing goals from different guys. We talked about the Tigres game. Obviously, I think that last game against Mazatlan, you get the win. It's great. Not enough to get into the knockout stage, but it is good. Again, Thomas Angel, who started off the season. We had Marcus Invarksen, we had Chucky Lozano, we had Anders Dreyer, we had the front three pretty much solidified. Then Thomas Angel comes in. He's finally able to get some minutes, and he gets a goal as well. Oni Valakari scores as well. So I think for me, Leagues Cup was good for one, for the litmus test, and two, to get some of those depth guys into or on the scoring sheet, because we talked about, Braden, last week. You're going to need that depth as you get into September and October.
Drake Hill's joining us in studio. Usually joins us each and every Friday to give us a soccer 101. He'll be here for the next couple of segments. We're going to do soccer here, talk a little Padres baseball, local stuff in the next segment. The striker situation is interesting for San Diego FC. Frank and I have talked about it. Obviously, with Arlovsky not being part of the team anymore, we'll get to his situation in just a second.
Yep.
There hasn't been that true nine that they were looking for. They're trying to get, as you mentioned, Angel in there to be that guy. Is this something that's going to be addressed during the season, or is this something that might not be able to get addressed until after the season is over?
I think that where we are in the transfer window, right? So this secondary transfer window started on the 24th of July, and you have until the 21st of August before the window closes. Now, that is an interesting time when you take a look at the global transfer market, the global soccer market. You have a lot of the European leagues are going to start their domestic competitions at that point. So a lot of these guys are in preseason. So that's good for MLS. That's good for San Diego FC if you are in business and trying to bring someone mid-season internationally. But I think the new rule where now MLS is allowing teams to pay actual money for players inside the league. You couldn't do that before. That is, and I know we'll kind of talk about our new winger for San Diego FC and how that deals an example, but there is an opportunity where I think San Diego FC might be looking at potentially an intra-league transfer as opposed to an international buy that's going to cost a lot of money. We're talking high 7, maybe 8 figures, maybe, depending on the guys that they're looking at. But I think overall, let's just think about what type of striker that could come. This is a rights to dream product. It's similar to like a City Football Group, where Manchester City, New York City FC, Girona in Spain, where they're looking at kind of an overall model. I think San Diego FC is very similar, where they're looking at obviously opportunities of players that have come through the Danish league or other leagues that they also operate in, like Egypt. So we'll see what type of product, but I don't think it'll be a big splash like we've seen from LAFC or other clubs in MLS.
Tyler Heaps joined the morning show.
That's right.
Yesterday, and explained the Arlovsky situation. For people that missed that, what was your takeaway on the Arlovsky situation? Obviously, so he was on on loan. He gets sent back to his parent club.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't find a deal to potentially buy him out of said loan, and then he ends up with the Philadelphia Union. And then San Diego FC fans are like, "Why didn't we even try?" Tyler Heaps gave a good explanation of why it worked out for Philly and did not work out for San Diego FC. What was your biggest takeaway on the Arlovsky situation?
Big MLS, I guess you can call it fair. You can call it, maybe big MLS tradition, big MLS, typical MLS, right?
Okay.
Obviously, when you're trying to negotiate with a player, obviously the books matter, but also the deals matter. And if you're an expansion team that may have a different outlook on what you're trying to do financially. But also, I think that a player on loan is always a little more difficult when the actual clause is not put in where you have an automatic purchase price at the end of the loan.
And he obviously wanted a lot of money for the success that he had.
Exactly.
And then, being here in hometown, and then Philadelphia ends up not paying what he wanted from San Diego FC.
Exactly. But at the same time, you're going to go into a club who clearly wants you for minutes, might get a couple more starts, and for a team that is in playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. Not only playoff contention, but I'm not going to say that they are 100% Supporters Shield favorites because I think that's FC Cincinnati. San Diego FC may also be in that position. We'll see. But it is interesting where it's a typical MLS situation where I think that if the loan timing wise had been a little bit different, maybe there would have been a little more leverage to get a deal done. Obviously, good for Milan to stay in MLS and kind of continue his form from goal scoring. But I think later at the end of the season, if we look at both parties, both San Diego FC and Milan, I think they both would have wanted to continue what was a good run and probably consistent starting minutes for someone who took advantage of opportunity from injuries, but also clearly was able to go up against the best teams and score at a historic record.
San Diego FC got a brand new player.
That's right.
It's a local product from
That's right.
Escondido. Went to Cathedral Catholic High School before going to Stanford. Tell us about the new addition to San Diego FC.
Corey Baird, a U.S. youth international. He has been in MLS and been around MLS for quite some time. You mentioned, Braden, that he was at Cathedral. He was in my class, actually.
Okay.
And so we knew each other a good, decent amount. And Corey was one of those guys who was kind of ahead of most of the pack. He gets an invite to go to the U.S. residency program in Bradenton. Obviously, the U.S. Residency program no longer exists, but for those who don't know, the residency program is essentially the best of the best of every class. They're bringing you into a national team setup overseen by U.S. Soccer at the IMG Academy, and you are essentially brought in and grown as a development. You're a U.S. Development Academy, and so he went through that, played at the Nike Cup, went to RSL's Rio Grande spot in Arizona, came up through Real Salt Lake's Academy, as you mentioned, went to Stanford. Yeah, I say you could say it's a pretty good program.
Yes.
Got won a couple of trophies. No
Yes.
big deal. Obviously, joins RSL as a homegrown player and has since been in MLS. This is a guy who has played on teams: Houston, RSL, as I mentioned, LAFC, FC Cincinnati. So becoming somewhat of an MLS journeyman and someone who knows the game, who knows how MLS is played, gives the depth that I think we've talked about, particularly up front. He's a winger, has the speed, is able to run behind, able to play and link up with someone like Chucky, someone like Andres Dreyer, Thomas Angel, if he's in the middle. So this is a good addition. As I mentioned earlier, now that you're able to pay trade cash for other MLS players inside the league, this is good business for San Diego FC.
We need to take a break. Drake Hill's joining us in studio. We're going to get a quick preview of their game tomorrow against Sporting KC, and we're going to get some Padres takes out of Drake Hills as we talk Padres baseball. Big weekend series against the Boston Red Sox before we pass it along to Gwen and Chris coming up at 2 o'clock. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's Braden Surprenant Show rolling on San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 1:38 on a Friday. Braden Surprenant Show, joined by Drake Hills in studio. Going to take it all the way to Gwen and Chris. And real quick, Drake, before we dive back into Padres baseball, San Diego FC, Sporting Kansas City tomorrow in KC. Games at 5:45 Pacific time on Fox Sports 1. So for those that don't have the,
not behind the paywall.
That's right. You can actually watch it if you don't have the Apple TV package for MLS. What do we see out of San Diego FC? What do we expect to see out of San Diego FC as they get back into MLS play to finish the season?
Yeah, you're back into the regular. And look, I mean, this is a team we talked about them when the reverse fixture came about. This is a team that struggled, and we've talked about it before. They're in that transition where they're allowing a new head coach to come in and kind of reset his program. But you've got, lost 2 of the last 3. A real doozy against Vancouver, 3-0 for Sporting Kansas City back on the 26th of July, so before Leagues Cup. So this is their first game since Leagues Cup, Sporting Kansas City. So you're going up against a team that you can say is rested, but on the other half, may not necessarily be the sharpest. Well, we'll see. They have the home field advantage. I've been to Children's Mercy. It is loud. The KC Cauldron is their main supporters group. They make that thing jump. I think it's a trap game, I think, for San Diego FC. If they do not keep their mind where it has been, keep the level that you have against Pachuca, against Tigres. You're coming off of a win against Mazatlan. I'm not saying it's a possibility. I'm just saying, from the outside looking in, someone who's not on the field, it could be a trap game mentally if you're not ready and to handle business. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Braden, the fact that there's going to be times in which these games against the latter half of the Western Conference, those are 3 points that you're going to need when you start going in September. We talked about LAFC. You've got Minnesota after that. These are 2 top 3, top 5 teams in the West. So you need these points against Sporting Kansas City, San Jose. You've got Portland, who is no slouch, 5th in the West. So take care of it, 3 points, and move on.
Go Aztecs in the chat has a question for you. For players that are on loan, does the team they originally play for decide where they go, or can the player choose?
So that is a deal that between essentially club and club, right? Different clubs and different leagues have different rules. Like, for example, you can say, obviously, you're not going to play against us. That's an obvious thing. You're not going to play against your parent club. But the only reason in which a player would have a say is if there is for some deals, if there's a purchase, like an automatic purchase, like we talked about with the Milan Olaski deal. I think also something to think about is if you are taking or getting a loan inside the league versus if a player from San Diego FC goes out to Brazil or goes out to England or Spain, right? So that has a lot to do with where you go and how long you go, because sometimes it could just be 6 months, sometimes it could be for a full season. But that depends on league calendar, right? MLS league calendar is spring to fall, while everyone else is fall to spring.
We're talking with Drake Hills, joining us in studio, usually talking about soccer. We're going to transition into Padres baseball for the final kind of segment of the show. And Go Aztecs says, thank you for the explanation, Drake. Let's get to Padres baseball. What did you make? Big Padres fan.
Indeed.
Born and raised in San Diego, right?
That's right.
What did you think of AJ Preller's trades?
Whoa. I like the Miller deal. I think, I've been listening to you guys, and I'm like, okay, you keep Suarez and you bring in Miller. I'm wondering to see what the rest of the starters and how they kind of respond to getting another arm into the bullpen. We love bullpens, I guess. Mike Schilt loves the bullpen.
Mike Schilt does love the bullpen.
Loves the bullpen. And I think that's helping for, obviously someone like Dylan Cease, who's just he's plugging through right now. He's trying to get back to, I think, what he knows he can be on the mound to start. I'm thinking playoffs, right? I love you're bringing in a catcher. You got a left fielder, which is exactly what we needed. DeVries, good luck.
We talked about it on the show earlier today. You don't hang banners for having the number one farm system, so you had to part ways. I mean, the question we've been now putting together is that the show Let's Make a Deal.
That's right.
So I have here's a brand new yacht.
Yeah.
That you can pick, Drake, or you could pick the mystery box, which could also be a brand new yacht. It could also be a pile of dog turds. It could be a lot of different things.
Could be
right?
a hoopty.
So you got Mason Miller. It's the brand new yacht.
Yeah.
Then you got Leo DeVries, who's in the mystery box.
That's right.
That's the decision you come down to. Are you the type of person that would rather take what we know in Major League Baseball, or you rolling the dice on what could possibly be?
You take what we know when you want to play in October.
Yes.
And you want to play deep into October. And that's exactly how AJ Preller has moved. Not news, not something that's new for if you're a Padres fan, as you and I have been for our entire lives. At least I can say that I can remember the days when Petco first opened, and it was like, yeah, the Giants, man, they're going to do their thing, and we might be able to do something against the Rockies and maybe the D-backs. But the Giants, they were doing their thing. I grew up in an era where it was Khalil Green, Brian Giles, obviously Trevor Hoffman. And then you move into a space where, we had the Upton brothers. We had Adrian Gonzalez. We had an unfortunate couple of years. And so to be in a space where you're consistently contending, okay, we appreciate the incredible draft stock that we've accumulated. And we appreciate the great scouting that's been done to build a great farm system. But the reality is that the San Diego Padres are contending to, not as you said, Braden, getting past the NLDS and play in a championship series again. And so that's, I think, where the Padres are. I think they are stocked and ready. Yu Darvish is coming back. Your starters are getting healthier. Your lineup has far more teeth to it, especially at the bottom half of the order. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to need bats in October. So I'm feeling it. I'm curious to know the powers that be, how they feel about deadline day and how that went, because I think that it was good business, especially without giving up Suarez and a couple of the other guys that we thought, or at least I thought, might have been out the door.
That have been shipped out. I give him a B+ just because losing your number one prospect is not always great.
Yeah,
it's for a relief pitcher.
Yeah, it's
but
not perfect. It's not a perfect score.
The more I break it down, the more the more it's really working out. I mean, the Freddie Fermin pickup has been great for the catching position.
Yep.
Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano have both contributed. Laureano, obviously, to a very high level compared to Ryan O'Hearn. And Ryan O'Hearn had the big knock the other day. So, I mean, again, finally getting rewarded for a lot of the contact that he has made. Honestly, the only piece that has come back that has not been that great has been JP Sears. And I think he was going to come back and make another appearance here in the future. I think they traded for him. He's under contract for a long time. And we'll see where they're at. Let me ask you this question. I already kind of answered this. The Padres have had what has been coined sustained success now. Would you agree that making the playoffs 4 out of the last 6 years, assuming they make the playoffs this year, is sustained success? Yes or no?
Yes.
I would say it's
easy answer.
Success.
I think
success.
I think what becomes more of a thought, more of a pondering behind that question is if you were talking about what you're doing in the playoffs, what you're doing in October. Is it okay? We've got yet another wild card game. We win another wild card game. We're in the DS. We made the DS. Check. Is that successful? Is making it to the NLCS successful?
Well, let me ask you this from a different standpoint. You're talking about general managers, right? Like AJ Preller's been here for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if he makes the postseason this season, the Padres have made the postseason 4 out of the last 6 years. In all these other sports, NFL, NBA. Now, the NBA is a little bit, they fire head coaches all over the time. They fire head coaches that just
They fire head coaches who make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Exactly. So, but I would say like most general managers that have made the playoffs that many times in that many years in a market like San Diego, he's doing his job, especially with a crapshoot that is the postseason for baseball. I mean, the sport of baseball is a sport built on failure where in order for a playoff series to find the best team at the end of the year, it needs to be best of 72 games. That's how crazy baseball is in general. So from that perspective, I would consider making the playoffs 4 of the last 6 years to be successful for a GM. He's doing his job.
I think so. I think it's more so about internally what the standard is. But if you're talking about 10 years, first half building, drafting. You see obviously the turn of the decade, a great 2020, even greater 2021, obviously 2022, 2024. Now we're in 2025. I think it's at another level than the first 5 years. Would you agree? Just thinking about contention. Right?
I think in terms of AJ
division,
Preller getting his job done is making the postseason in the sport of baseball. But that being said, we were asked the question yesterday on the roundtable. At what level do you have to advance for it to be a successful season? I said making the NLCS is a success. And that's factoring in for the oddities of baseball. If they lose it, I'm just thinking from a standpoint of each round, if they didn't make the playoffs, utter disaster. If they made the playoffs and lost in the wild card, I'd be disappointed.
I think that would be a failure to me.
If you make the division series and you lose again like you did last year to the Dodgers, I think it would be a disappointment. If they make it to game 6 or 7 of the NLCS and you lose, is everybody going to say this season was a failure and a waste of time?
And I remember that.
I don't think so.
No, I would agree with that. I also think that a point that was made on the roundtable was it's not all about the Los Angeles Dodgers, right? There are some teams that I think you have to be careful for. I was actually thinking about it before you said it about the Brewers. I'm like, well, where did all these dubs coming from?
Yeah, right.
But
I got a lot of scrappy players that are fast, and then Yelich and a couple other big boppers get them in.
But that's it. I do think the Mets are obviously a team that you have to look out for. The Braves are not what I thought that was going to happen. Injuries absolutely ravaged them. But I will say that I would even argue that even going to Game 7 of the DS would be
Game 5 of the DS,
or Game 5 of the DS, I should say, is if you have a matchup against a really team that just is just racking up runs. I think it's safe to say that could be a successful season.
I think it could. Everybody in the chat's like, it's got to be. I don't think it's World Series or bust for this team because at the beginning of the year, the expectation was just make the playoffs.
No, I think we're on the same page.
They got off to a hot start. They've now added their team. They have a very deep roster. But I will say this, with Major League Baseball, as we said before, weird things can happen. And if weird things happen in the NLCS and you don't make it to the World Series, I don't think it's a failure of a season. I don't think you should fire AJ Preller. If they make it to the World Series and they lose, and think about this, like World Series or bust, that's like putting the expectations on a team to do something that they've never done before. Yeah. To evaluate whether or not it was a success or not. If that's the case, only one team is successful every single year, which I understand, and I understand that's what the Padres fans want. But if you're telling me they make it to the World Series and they come up just short, you're going to be upset with what the Padres have done? You can't be upset about it.
I think that puts the San Diego Padres fan base in a different stratosphere, especially for this generation. I mean, we're talking, 1998? Last time that you...
Yes, last time they were in the World Series. Last time they won the pennant was 1998.
So I think that's a entire generation right there. And again, this is a team that has been here. You've been to the NLCS. You've gone up against really good teams with really good bats. The Phillies a few years ago. Obviously, the Dodgers series was frustrating, but I would say that up until that final game, I wouldn't have said that was frustrating. I think that was a par season for what we did, the guys that we lost, the guys that we brought in. So this time around for this postseason, again, I think NLCS is where you would leave the mark.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I think that's where you want to be. If that's the case, I think it'd be a successful season. I think Padres fans still be disappointed they win the World Series.
I think sweeps period though puts an asterisk next to anything that I just said. Competing is non-negotiable, especially with the incredible fan base and the home field advantage.
We're about to run out of time
that we've seen.
And I want to get
yellow towels.
Do you think out of the last 5 years that you watch Padres, the last 5 or 6 years, the team they currently have is their best chance at winning a World Series compared to the other teams?
Yes.
I think so too. I think this team is better than last year's team. I think this team has a better opportunity than 2022. I think it's definitely better than 2020. And I think this is their best chance that they have had since 1998 to win a World Series. It's a better chance than 04, better chance than 05, or sorry, 05, 06, and definitely better chance than 07, even though Holiday still hasn't touched the plate yet. Drake, what a pleasure. It was good talking soccer with you. And, of course, Padres baseball. We'll talk to you again next Friday. For Nick DiNucci, Drake Hills, I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Pass it along to Tony Gwynn Jr. and Chris Ello for Gwynn and Chris. And we'll see you guys on Monday, hopefully after the Padres take care of business against the Red Sox. Talk to you then.
Padres.